What's going on? Not even 6 o'clock yet. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. NFL approved a new hybrid kickoff model similar to the XFL's, designed to limit speed and injuries while improving the number of quality play. Eric Galko, who helped develop the plan for the XFL, was on 3HL yesterday and explained how it will affect kickoffs.
The kickoff and kickoff return is about 10 plays a game, and we all watch football. 95% of those plays are just kick out of the end zone. So now you're adding 10 plays to the game. By comparison, the average NFL game has about 12 red zone plays. We hear all the time about NFL teams practicing red zone and so much. And so this is going to add 10 more quality plays that can have a real impact on your game.
One-time Titan target, All-Pro Bowl veteran cornerback Tre'Davious White signing a one-year deal worth up to $10 million with the Rams. The Rams have now added 3 new starters in the secondary, with White, Darius Williams returning, and Cameron Curl at safety. And on hockey, Preds keep the ball rolling, or the puck rolling, rather, caking down the Golden Knights 5-4 in overtime. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Wednesday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on a loaded show with lots to discuss. The local professional hockey team just refuses to lose a game. We've got details on L'Jarius Sneed's contract. Dan Graziano of ESPN provides the latest on how the Titans did it at 8:20 this morning. Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio at 9. We're scouting edge rushers in the NFL draft. And, of course, midweek motivation, courtesy of our good friend Inky Johnson at the end of the show. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. Robert Walsh making the show happen. I'm Will Bowling. It is Wednesday, March the 27th. How are we doing, everybody? Good morning.
We're fresh. Is that a good word to use? We're fresh?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Up this morning, I told Ramon I spilled a little coffee this morning in the car and was wiping it up with my sweatshirt because I have a, what do you call it? Not a rental, but a loaner car now as my engine gets fixed.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful car. And I'm just very anal about anything that happens to it. So it was just a little spill, but I made sure to sacrifice my own sweatshirt to sweep that thing up.
You know what? You got to, or either get charged, or they look at you sideways when you bring that car back. Either way.
Like what's this smell? All this this coffee smell. What the heck is going on?
Nah, that's it, man. As of late, my coffee been spilling in the vehicle too. But hey, it is what it is. I think today's supposed to be beautiful. I'm gonna enjoy this day. It's Hump Day, getting through the weekend. Good Friday this weekend. So,
it is
Easter.
Good Friday. Easter on Sunday. There we go.
Absolutely. I used to get so hyped for Easter when
Me too.
I was younger.
What happened?
Easter egg hunt.
Me too.
Oh my gosh, used to love the Easter egg hunt.
You didn't grow up, did you?
Yeah, no, I still don't grow up. And now the Easter egg hunting is different. Have y'all seen it these days?
No.
You basically just put the eggs in the yard and let the kids basically have a free for all. Like nobody's really hiding
You're not
eggs
hiding
anymore.
it?
I mean, you do, but not really. If I'm gonna be real, you're not really hiding them. You hide the golden eggs though. I found a golden egg once as a child.
And that had what, 5 instead of 1?
$5.
Yeah.
Had $5 in it. Yes.
That's a lot when you're a kid.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't wait to spend it too. Couldn't wait to spend my little $5.
Which tastes better, the Reese's eggs or the Reese's pumpkins?
Eggs.
Neither.
Okay.
Neither.
Oh.
Cool flex, bro.
You're against
Then which
you're
one's the
against
best?
that.
If you're going to provide us a problem, then provide us a solution, dang it.
Eggs. Eggs will probably be the best. The pumpkins, the peanut butter chocolate ratio is
off.
Is so off.
What?
To me. Yeah,
It
What are
is.
you talking about?
Like
It's too much peanut butter.
It is too much peanut butter. There needs to be more chocolate on the pumpkin one. It's soft and mushy. But I'm a peanut butter lover myself.
So am I, but
that ratio of chocolate to peanut butter is off. Yeah. Where are you on it? Which one is your favorite? You
I
didn't
don't
give a
discriminate.
choice. eat.
He likes it. How about the heart
Way
one?
to be different here, Will. Way to be different here, Will. You forced
the
me into
eggs
a
are
corner
better.
to answer, and here you are like, I like them both.
The eggs are better. I'm just trolling you.
You like the eggs? I
There's
bet
a
you do
Christmas
like the
tree
eggs.
too.
There's a Christmas. Yeah, I've seen those too.
Yeah.
And they make football ones during football season, if I'm not mistaken. I think I've seen it.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll
Do you
give
guys?
Those are just sideways eggs, Ramon.
Yeah, that's fair. Honestly, that's just the egg one.
Oh my goodness.
I dunk on you, and it's continuation of payback is
boy.
what you got for me this morning, Bert. I did expect you to have a booby trap somewhere.
I'm telling you, be on your toes. It's a
Yeah,
long
so
show.
if you missed it yesterday, going into the fourth hour of the show, Ramon tried to dunk on Robert Walsh.
No, did.
Ramon successfully dunked on Robert Walsh from behind. We contemplated giving Ramon an offensive foul, but Robert was holding a cup of water. And since Ramon did not do this from the front, then he did not know that Robert was holding a cup of water. So this is going to be an interesting day at 104.5 The Zone in Cumulus, Nashville.
I'm working on getting the footage because there are cameras in the hallway. There is a way to obtain that. I'm talking to our legal team right now to see if we can release it. I'm working on that. But in the meantime, I don't know how the hell I'm going to get Ramon back. One, he is a premier athlete. What am I supposed to do? This racked my brain all night.
Like, at least with Buck, you feel like you have a little bit of an even playing
When
field.
Buck wanted to get Buck with me, like I feel like I could handle Buck. Like, I feel like I can handle myself and put distance. Ramon is going to not only close the distance, but be able to affect me within that distance.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. My conscience tells me, my brain tells me that I should probably just swallow this one and just get it over with. Be like, oh, well, he got one on you. That's all you can do about it. But my pride says, oh, yes, you can. So I'm just trying to figure this out. I don't know what to do. If anybody has ideas, give me a call. Ramon can't hear them, and we'll work this out behind the scenes.
You know what's worse? What's the worst thing that happened yesterday, though, behind that situation is Lucas saw it. Yeah. Okay?
And he was on your side. He's supposed to be my boy.
But Lucas also was an agitator, too. Lucas was instigating. He had his little cattle prod just poking Bert. He was like, now, you know if that's anybody but Ramon, you be mad. I was like, what? Why are you getting him mad? Like, this was supposed to be fun, and Lucas is just prodding him. And I was just like, man, don't make this worse, Lucas.
The thing that makes you a hard target is you have no shame. Like anything that Bert does to you in retaliation, you will probably in the moment think is funny. Buck has a lot of shame. Like if you prank Buck, he feels like he's been shown up. And that since there was not someone leading him into the show and into the building on a donkey and declaring his triumphal entry in Cumulus, Nashville, that we should all just be bowing down before him as he comes back from his tropical vacation today. But I know. Yeah, that's what happens when Buck forgets his key and has to come in here. But
I love him, but that is a great description. That's probably a lot of fans is like, you know what? Yeah, he does think he needs a chariot coming into here.
He deserves it. Did you see all the stuff he's putting out on vacation? Just, making us all jealous.
He wants to let us know so badly that he's in California. He is just so intent on what's the worst airport in the country and why is it LAX? 615-737-1045. Oh, my gosh, y'all are going to make me work on Rodeo Drive at this wedding I'm at. Like, buddy, we do not
sipping
care.
A martini.
We genuinely, sorry, dude, you have to go to work and talk about sports. That's really tough. But.
That's hilarious.
God.
But
Poor guy.
I'm side-eyeing the hell out of Lucas, okay? He almost took you there, Bert, and that's all. He's collecting calls right now.
Well, we did.
I don't like this.
Oh, that means people have got some ideas.
I don't like this.
We did tweet last night after the Preds come back from down 3-0 against the Las Vegas Golden Knights and 4-1 to win 5-4 in overtime. Buck tweeted, "The hockey team may never lose again." And Ramon, Kayla, and Will tweeted, "Yeah, as long as you stay away from Bridgestone Arena."
Thank you.
I saw that.
That game was electric last night. I watched every second of that thing.
No, you got it.
They looked dead in the first period. Vegas was quick on the counterattack. They were just sucking the life out of what the Preds had going on in that building. But my goodness, Roman Josi with the OT winner. That was electric. 18 game point streak. for the
Yeah.
Nashville Predators.
It was, they asked me yesterday, I do a little work for CBS HQ, and they asked me to do a hit, and I've never once this season done anything on the Preds. And so when they asked me to do something on the Preds, I was like, oh, it's about time, like, to do something, nationally for giving this team some recognition. And, then you watch what they did last night against a Golden Knights team that is also playing pretty good hockey and has a, chance to get in the playoffs as well. But this was a big game, and the Preds continue to show that they're not just a hot streak team. I feel like this team is really starting to find its identity late in the season. It's relentless hockey, and you're seeing it in the third period, whether it's a one-score game or a score like last night, 5-4. They're getting it done in the third period, and they're showing like this is a team that could be really dangerous come postseason.
My microphone
Turn your
got
mic
to
on.
work over
Usually,
here.
you got to talk into the mic.
The red dot
Everyone else
comes.
can hear
The red dot comes
Everybody else
on.
can hear me. Yeah. I was actually getting the updates on the game last night, too, and I was like 3-0. I was like, man, that's the last time we're going to brag about them on the show. Went to bed, woke up this morning. What in the world? I saw our show account and stuff, and I was just like, whoa.
It was electric. It was electric. Top line of Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Nyquist, all with big performances, combined for 8 points.
That's huge.
Against the Golden Knights. Philip Forsberg with a goal and 2 assists. Same with Ryan O'Reilly and Gus Nyquist, a goal and an assist as well. Roman Josi starting to put himself back into the conversation for the Norris Trophy again. And his OT winner, his third deciding goal of Nashville's 18-game point streak, gave him his 24th point since the franchise record run began on February the 17th. And during that span, he has not only recorded the second most points among his teammates, but the second most among all league defensemen. And he leads all NHL defensemen in goals with 19 this season.
You talk about a gem. That's it right there. A guy that's been here, who's continued to produce every single year, even in down years. I feel like Roman Josi has up years and is always kind of in the discussion for the Norris. This guy is a superstar. I hope Preds fans realize like just how special he is, like a Pekka Rinne, how special Pekka was. I feel like that's how Roman Josi is in terms of a player that is going to go down in history here.
That's
Robert,
big time.
you have another idea, apparently.
Unfortunately, not my ideas. And Ramon, don't you ever think for a second that these people like you? Don't you ever? Because as soon as it's
people.
as soon as
These
it's
people.
anonymous,
I saw you're getting calls.
so many calls. All of these guys want to have punishments for Ramon, but I need you guys to dial it back just a little. He just dunked on me. He didn't like run over my dog or something. People were talking about, you should get donuts and put like really hot sauce in them, which affects the whole show. He's like, you should put.
I'm currently not eating donuts right now, so
He was like,
God.
you
Oh my
should
gosh.
put X-Lax in his coffee. I was like, well, I would have to poison the whole show.
Oh, shoot. I did that in grade school.
No.
Yeah, I poisoned, I put X-Lax in
Poison?
cookies.
Stop it.
Yeah,
What
I
on
was
earth are
suspended
you-
for 3 days.
Okay.
Oh,
I
yeah,
never
we've
told
heard
you
that story before.
Okay.
Poisoning.
You've told that on there
Well,
before.
I didn't know that at the time. It was just, it sounds fun.
It did sound
night.
fun, I bet. So now I'm going to take a break. In the next little commercial break here, I'll be back. Somebody else come man the board, and we can go forward with the rest of the day.
Sweet.
I don't know how I feel about this now.
I just wouldn't drink the coffee.
615-737-1045. We've got details on L'Jarius Sneed's contract. We're going to tell you where he ranks contractually amongst the best corners in the NFL. Plus, the headlines yesterday from a busy and newsy day. You probably heard about the kickoff. What else was announced yesterday at NFL owners' meetings? We'll give you the latest next.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson with Members Nutrition. Maybe you heard me talk about the Youthful Cleanse here lately. A great cleanse, simple cleanse by Daily Defense, but they bring so much more when it comes to supplements, bringing them to you at an affordable cost, quality supplements at a fraction of the normal retail cost, and made right here in the USA. No matter what type of supplement you're looking for, they have it. Let's maybe say immunity supplements, because this is the time of year that we're all feeling a a little bit down, and they've got plenty to choose from, including weight loss, detox, like I mentioned, with the cleanse, men's health, women's health, even relaxation supplements. They have it all. And now they are giving you, the listener, a little bit extra off the already discounted prices, offering 50% off your purchase on the already discounted prices. No code needed. The discount is automatically applied at checkout. And the website, you can go to it now to check out all the different types of supplements, all different categories. Just go to membersnutrition.com. That's membersnutrition.com.
Wednesday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will is brewed by 8th and Roast. RKW streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Twitch, please.
Yeah.
Simultaneous. Tie goes to the runner.
Which one of us do you think runs?
I did last
Ramon
weekend.
did.
Yeah, get with it.
Right?
Tie goes to
Ramon wins.
I did last weekend.
We've got
Tie
Christmas
goes to Walker.
Day football. We've got Amazon Prime football. But first, guys, we've got L'Jarius Sneed contract details. Total value $76.4 million, ranking 7th among all corners. $19.1 million average per season. That is 7th as well among corners. Tied for 6th largest signing bonus at $20 million. Total guarantees of $55 million, 5th amongst NFL corners. What do you like? What stands out about L'Jarius Sneed's reported contract, which came out yesterday?
What I like, it seems like you get most of it out of the way quick so you can continue to build. The $20 million bonus, signing bonus to me frees you up in future years. It gives you the flexibility of doing work again because the bonus will not essentially count against the cap. His salary will. And I'm looking at that right now. Base salary this year is $19.8. So the fact that he's getting all of it up front, one, lets you know how they're going to stack contracts moving forward. So you're not holding on to dead money for years and years and years to come. This 4-year deal that it is almost lines you up with the year left before a decision has to be made on him if he's the guy that you hit on too. But they're staggered. I love the way this one's set up, Cheeto's set up, and just everybody else that they've signed. Like we're 4 years into it. 3 of it is essentially the way I look at it, and there's room for an extension to lower the cap hit moving down the line if he does play up to it to where you extend a guy like him out. This, I think, gives you a lot of breathing room when you're trying to continue to build this squad up for years.
And that's what you need. You got to be smart about how you're doing these contracts, especially with, some of the additions that you've made. They're expected to be a little bit more of the higher paid players in terms of Calvin Ridley. But if you even look at Calvin Ridley, he's not in the top 3 of wide receivers. This is a situation where I know L'Jarius Sneed wanted to be one of the top paid cornerbacks. Right now, I feel like when you look at it, and you just broke it down, Ramon, it's really not that bad of a deal overall for the value I feel like you're getting in the type of player that he is. In terms of, he's here, technically it's a 4-year deal. They could probably get out at 3, and everything seems to be, like you said, up front. But I just feel like, you're reading off the things here. He's not even top 3 either in terms of highest paid. So I just feel like he's one of the best corners out there.
And also, that $19 million a year number, the average, I think that's so crucial. You didn't, according to what he wanted and what the market could suggest, be
Didn't
over 20 million. 22.
Yeah.
Reportedly.
Somehow you found a way to work that out. And I'm sure there would have been other teams that would have wanted to pay that. But I think the $19 million average to me says a lot about the negotiating skills and honestly, probably from a guy that wanted to be here. No state income tax, I think, mattered in this deal. And the fact that he wanted to be here. It plays a huge part in how you get free agents to Nashville and make the Tennessee Titans a premier team to say, hey, you want to be here.
Yesterday from Orlando, TennesseeTitans.com writer Jim Wyatt spoke with Rand Carthon once again. Second post that he has had with the GM. And the magic words yesterday for Rand Carthon were, quote, everything is on the table. He said it about 5 times in this interview that he had with Jim, asking about tackles, about Joe Alt specifically. And Rand Carthon replied, it's so funny. Everyone has all these speculations about what we could and could not do. Even my 16-year-old daughter texted him the other day saying, hey, what are we taking this tackle everyone has us taking? So she's now looking at the mocks and asking what will happen. So maybe we need to get Rand's daughter on the show to now give her own breakdown of Joe Alt's pass sets and his hands in pass protection. But when asked about a trade, Rand Carthon said, everything is on the table with where we are. You can say what you want to trade out, but in order to trade, you need a partner. So we'll see where we are. Says that teams are currently in the nosy period as it relates to trade talks and figuring out where interest is around the league. Meanwhile, saying the Titans have not had any serious discussions about a trade with anyone.
Yeah. The closer you get to the draft is when that stuff start to kick up. Getting right past free agency, now teams are settled in for the most part for where the major signings are going to be. You had a few more that are sprinkled in here and there over the course of the week, but now teams are strategizing where you are as far as the draft, what type of moves, who's left. So when it comes down to that quarterback decision for a lot of teams, or you start to realize, and we've talked about this for a little while too, if they do go quarterback heavy early, right? The same old dance we do every single year. The talent on the front end of this draft gets pushed back. So the ability to go get a guy, I think, is going to be very appealing to a lot of teams that are 1 or 2 players away, or they graded a guy higher that they didn't think they was going to be able to get, Kayla.
It's interesting because I'm looking again at the draft order, and just in terms of, trading down the chances of that happening, and he's leaving the door open a little bit, as you should, because you never know what's going to happen the day of. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at the Minnesota Vikings at 11, Denver Broncos at 12, and Las Vegas Raiders at 13. I think there's definitely going to be some movement with one of those teams at least to probably get up there. I don't know if that will be something that the Titans could be involved in, because they could want to go all the way up, to trade with Arizona. But Arizona seems to be happy with being in that spot. But I feel like this is going to be a day where things are going to unfold very quickly the day of the draft for the first round. I think we could see some craziness happen in the first hours of that draft.
It's funny. I went to ESPN.com this morning. I always do to start the show in case anything else is broken, anything else is out there before we start. And I saw this article that said everything we heard and buzz from 2024 NFL owners meetings. Like, oh, okay. So I always hit Control F, as you do on a browser, to find where one word is in the entire article. So I hit Control F, Titans, nothing. Oh, okay. What all do they have info on? Like 12 different teams, and then Taylor/Travis is at the top of this as a hyperlink to tweet and read about. So we are prioritizing Taylor/Travis on March 27th before we are prioritizing talking about a team that signed 8 players in free agency.
Crazy.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I thought that died down for a second, but...
No, I saw something just since you segued there real quick. You know how much money they say he spent courting her?
Please.
Half of his salary. I think he just paid like $16 million. It was like
according to whom?
This was a Yahoo article that they broke
it.
down. Either way, he spent a lot of money flying to her, giving her gifts. He got a gold diamond rose or something like that for Valentine's Day. Some crap, crazy.
I wonder if she even likes that kind of stuff, because this girl has everything she would even ever want, right?
Got to pay to play,
Billionaire.
Kayla.
Yeah, I just
Got to pay to play, Kayla. Mess around and she be a sugar mama or something.
Yeah.
She ain't trying to be nobody's sugar mama.
Yeah.
Got to pay to play, baby.
Anyway, so God forbid we talk about a team that has spent more money than almost anybody in the league. Here's more Taylor and Travis stuff. If I wanted info on that, I would have gone to E.
Right.
That's fair.
And I didn't want info on that.
Or TMZ.
It's one thing if you're at the game. Another thing if we're on March 27th of the offseason talking about Taylor Swift. Like, I just don't care.
I'm with you on that one.
Everybody loves her songs. You still got $24 million.
Legally,
will you name one?
Legally, I am required by the relationship I'm in to not disagree with you.
Yep.
Will could name the whole album.
I
don't know about that.
No album.
I don't know about all that.
Shake
Blood.
It Off. I got
There
Shake
we
It
go.
Off. Shake It Off. That's all I
Perfect.
got.
I like
now
that
it's going to
one.
be stuck in my friggin'
Proud
head.
of you.
Shake it off.
Christmas Day football coming back this year on a Wednesday. Ramon Foster, as a player, if you were told you were playing on a Wednesday, what would your response be? If it was Christmas.
Holiday games, I'm all in.
Really?
Oh, my God.
Surprises me.
Yeah. Ego. I'm going to be real with you.
Ego?
Yeah. What do you
Just
want me to say?
being on camera?
Yes. The only thing going on. Oh, y'all want to open up presents? Oh, cool. Guess what? Watch this football.
We're
It's
watching
only
football.
1 or 2 games are on. Like, I took pride in giving the service like that when it comes down to games and planning those primetime games, the Thanksgiving, the Christmas, the New Year's days and stuff like that. It means more, I think, to the players and stuff. Plus, I always look at that type of stuff. Get the workday out of the way, especially if you get a dub. Like when you get a dub on one of those holiday games, the rest of the weekend, when you're in holiday season, Kayla, you start to catch that stride, momentum of the squad. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when it gets more serious too. So the quicker we can get to these games, even if it's on a Wednesday, I was all for. I was away a couple times on Thanksgiving, playing the Thursday night games and stuff like that, or the Fridays, if they did a Thursday-Friday type of scenario. I never had an issue with it. I enjoyed it. In my later years, it was kind of like, oh, okay. But when the game kicks off, man, it's full tilt. Nothing can stop you from doing the show.
You know what's interesting? You brought up that Thursday night game and, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And the Tennessee Titans have the Detroit Lions on their schedule this year. Now, and they're away.
Your
now,
Darth Vader breath always kills me. Use the Force to talk about Christmas football.
But I'm like, could that be a Thanksgiving one?
I doubt it. Now you're both doing it. Stop acting like Darth Vader. Breathe like a normal human, both of you. Please, for the love of God.
That's something I've needed lately, oxygen, because I don't have much of it.
We all need it.
What's fast? That, yeah.
I just thought it.
I can see that. I can see that.
Not trying to get everybody excited, but I am.
That's so true. All right, never mind.
I do remember that was fun in 2008, playing the Lions on Thanksgiving.
So they've done this series before. Okay.
Been a while.
That was up there, obviously.
2008 in Detroit. Titans won that game 47-10.
Whoa.
Wow, no wonder it was fun.
So they got to have the meat legs.
Yeah, who won the turkeys?
The turkey legs.
Guys, I was 11.
Oh, okay.
Don't bring us facts like this, Will, if you don't know the entire thing. You got
Titans
me, man.
had 456 total yards. The Lions had 154 on that day. Anyone know the quarterback of the Lions that day?
Dan Orlovsky.
Dan Orlovsky, yeah.
No.
On 08?
Yep.
It wasn't Stafford. Who's before Stafford? I ain't got a clue.
Good question.
NFC North legend for another team.
NFC North?
Yep.
Culpepper.
Dante Culpepper.
Oh, my gosh.
Was the quarterback that day for the Detroit Lions.
Dante Culpepper.
Yep.
How old is he now?
He's got to be like 46.
Kerry Collins, the quarterback for the Titans that day, threw
47.
for 127 yards.
Kerry Collins.
In a 47-10 win, he threw. Well, the Titans had 164 yards passing.
Golly.
Crazy.
He went the heck off.
Ran for 292 yards against Detroit.
Who? Oh, the team.
The Titans.
I thought you was talking about Kerry Collins.
No.
Baby.
Absolutely not. NFL yesterday talking about the unprecedented growth they saw not just on Christmas but on Thanksgiving these past seasons. You're going to have 2 games on Christmas. And Roger Goodell actually talked about yesterday how this all came about because of playing games on Tuesdays and Wednesdays in COVID. And literally, without a global pandemic, we probably don't have Christmas football.
I remember it being a conversation.
Yep.
Even back then. It's you're going to ask us to play on Tuesday. We're going to be playing every day of the week moving forward.
100%. And now you've got Friday this year, too.
Yeah.
With the Eagles in Brazil.
That's right.
On Peacock.
Peacock, I know.
I kept that subscription.
You kept that subscription? Mine just ended actually like a week or so ago.
I'm surprised more people don't have Peacock.
I
Like
kinda
I've had
like
Peacock
it.
since the day it came out.
But you love The Office.
Well, right. I'm going through the season 7 of the Superfan episodes right now, but it's more so the soccer thing than it is even The Office for me. Because in order to watch like half of the Premier League season, you have to have Peacock.
They have Love Island on there, so.
Oh God, that show is such garbage.
Wow.
That show, there is no television that is more garbage. You will hate it.
Sounds like my type of
It
show
is
right now.
awful.
Is it ratchet?
It is terrible.
Yes.
And there are like
It's
1
so
billion episodes, and they come out every day when they're doing a new season. It is the worst TV on
It's
TV.
my escape.
Love it. Sometimes you need mindless, like,
I watch
watching.
sports 24/7. Sometimes I've got to get an escape.
Gotta have something right there. Thanksgiving Day for the Titans. I can see that happening now.
I know.
We'll see that. We'll
I'm
do
going to think it into existence.
a bet on primetime games, too, this year, considering they now got a different profile of player. That's also another thing that plays into the national narrative of teams, your profile of players. Big Jeff, Calvin now. Will Levis is a name. Cheeto. I mean, think about L'Jarius. Like, you got names like Pollard. It's a profile. You don't. Why are you shaking your head?
Because I've seen it happen so many times. They don't care.
Will, come on.
Titans will have probably one primetime game this year. And that's fine with me. I don't care.
It's not okay with me.
I don't care about the national attention the way some other people do.
You stop lying.
No, I'm not.
You do. Every fan does.
It's a little annoying.
I don't think so.
It's a little.
Because you go to an ESPN article and they'll prioritize Taylor Swift coverage over Titans coverage. Why do you need the validation from national people when folks like us cover the team every day and can actually speak intelligently about it?
Okay, so I think we're talking about two separate things, though. My thing is this. The national narrative comes down to winning, okay? It comes down to changing the perception of what your team is, though, too. That's my only thing and hope. I don't know what this season's going to be. I do not. But the caliber of players that you do have now and how you think about the head coach, I'm speaking of the profile changing because of winning, because these guys are making plays and stuff like that. And I know there's been players in the past that's been able to do that, and maybe the national narratives never have changed. But I'm hopeful that for this squad, it does actually change to where they become a name type of team and a city that national broadcasters want to come to because of winning. Screw the players, right? Win is where I'm at with it.
And I'll tell you, if Will Levis does take it up a notch this year and proves he can be that guy, they will get the attention. Because even with his little, success he had, not little success, when he had that success coming out of the gates, and you saw what he did in those games, even in Pittsburgh, I know it was a loss, but a lot of, I guess, hype around that. And then in what he did in Miami, national media was talking about the Titans because he's actually a very big personality on top of being whatever he does with his play.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think if the Titans have a lot of primetime games in 2024, it's because they've been flexed to primetime games because they're better than people think. Mm-hmm. But I've seen it so many times. Like I think the Levis personality conversation is more of a thing here than it is outside of Nashville. I just don't think national people care, nor should we care that they care. You're also going to have Amazon Prime wildcard game, so get ready to get that credit card back out. If you don't already. Everyone has Amazon Prime, though. That one at least is a bit more functional for other purposes versus just watching sports.
You can still share with Amazon Prime, if I'm not mistaken. As far as
is that
you
a
share
little
Peacock
hint?
too.
Okay.
You can still share.
I got a text from Jarvis Schaefer the other day. He was like, "Hey, by the way, thanks for your Paramount Plus to watch U.S. soccer tonight." I was like, oh, "Good."
Freeloader.
No wonder my brother
That's
got kicked
great.
out of watching on his phone.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
JC Schaefer stealing the spotlight there.
But yeah, well, that was my only thing when Kayla mentioned the Detroit thing and national games and stuff. Like, I really want to see that profile change. Selfishly, because we cover them, so on a day-to-day basis.
Kenny the mailman is on the phone line, 615-737-1045. What's up, Kenny?
What up, Kenny?
Fellas, it's a special day for all of us because we all have a dear friend that turns 40 today.
Who's that?
That's our good friend, former Titans, Tim Shaw.
Oh.
There's a lot of people that maybe not thought this day was going to happen, but it is, and we are celebrating. He moved on my route the day he came to Nashville, and through these years, he's become more than a number on a mailbox to me. He is a super, super friend. Everyone knows the struggle he has had with ALS. The past 2 years, my wife was trying to fight through cancer, and it was letters and calls from Tim himself and his family. Right on the day she was having excruciating treatments that just put a smile on her face and kept her going. And Tim Shaw's the type guy, no matter what's going on with him, he thinks of others. And I know he's made me a better person, and I know there's a lot of other people he's done that. And matter of fact, we were invited to a red carpet movie opening in Nashville a couple months ago that starred Tim. Did y'all know that made a movie that he was part of the Focus?
Did not know that.
Yep.
Yeah, called Focus on Love. So check that out. And if you think about it, check out some of the YouTube videos of Tim today. He's even shaking hands with his old mailman in one of them. But, yeah, I'm a better person for knowing that gentleman. Y'all have a great day.
You too, man.
Thank you, Kenny. Good
Happy
stuff.
birthday, Tim Shaw. That's an amazing man and what he's battling with ALS. You're exactly right. Steve Gleason has battled it for years as well when they did the coin flip. I think it was last year. What a special moment. And Steve's overcome a lot of odds, and obviously Tim is on that path of doing that. So continue to fight, brother, and happy birthday to you.
Absolutely. Happy born day.
Coming up next, there is a player who signed yesterday in the NFL, and the number on his contract is way bigger than we thought it would be. Coming up.
All right, it is March. My goodness, it's almost April, to tell you the truth. But the moral of the story is it's getting a little bit warmer out there. It's supposed to be a beautiful day today. Maybe it is time then to crack open your windows, do some spring cleaning. And when you do open those windows and get in the cool breeze, make sure that they're opening properly. If they're cracked, leaking, or they just won't stay open, now is the time to call our friends at Window Nation, because that probably means any new windows. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free. Plus right now, 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 24 months. Great deal.
No doubt about it. On top of that, Kayla, over 20,000 online positive reviews. They've installed over 200,000 windows in the last year. That's 40 times more than the average company, man. Windows is all they do, okay? As Kayla just told you, buy 2, get 2 free, and pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years. Reach out to them at 866-90Nation or go online to windownation.com.
Wednesday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW is brewed by 8th and Rose. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Coming up in 15 minutes, Brian Callahan spoke with NFL Network from Orlando at NFL owners meetings yesterday and had some good stuff to say about Calvin Ridley and more details on how he was acquired. We'll play you that audio coming up here in just about 15 minutes. But guys, yesterday, former Bills corner Tre'Davious White was announced that he is signing a 1-year, $8.5 million deal with a max value up to $10 million with the Los Angeles Rams. ESPN's Adam Schefter with the report first. For White, who is a post-June 1st release by Buffalo, coming off of a torn right Achilles. Max value up to $10 million feels like a lot of money for Tre'Davious White.
That's what I was thinking as far as that signing. That's a lot of money for a 1-year rental. You know what I'm saying? So I'm okay to pass on a deal like that for a guy like him, and I truly understand what he can bring to you. But coming off the injuries and the amount of money that you have to spend for his play and services, I'd much rather pass on that and go find somebody else that you can, supplement in and help grow, and that's in between trying to find that next deal and trying to find their career. I'd much rather deal in that world instead of getting a guy like him.
Yeah, and I know what Tre'Davious has done early on in his career. He started playing in 2017 in the league and was very successful, played pretty much every game. But then in 2021, guys, that's when you started to really see the drop-off of him just not being available. And, 11 games that year, followed up by 6 in 2022, and then just 4 last year. You mentioned the injury. I just feel like at that age and just the wear and tear on his body, I agree with you, a little interesting on that. But again, it is only a 1-year deal, which we're seeing some of these guys that are a little older in terms of secondary players. They're not getting anything beyond that 1-year deal at this point.
Absolutely.
This to me sounds a whole lot like an incentive-based contract, and an agent got to Adam Schefter and said, hey, this is up to $10 million. Make sure my client sounds like he signed a very good deal, because the Rams don't have an abundance of cash. They've already spent a lot this offseason, but they have around $16 million. If he truly had an $8 million cap hit, that would half their cap space.
Right.
I would assume a lot of this contract is incentives unlikely to be gained. Like, do you play 10 games? Do you play 14 games? Do you play 17 games? And then you push the buck to next year's cap. That's where incentives hit. They won't go on this year's cap. They'll hit next year.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
Smart play by them. Guys in those type of situations got to understand what they're getting themselves into. Even in a L'Jarius Sneed situation, which, of course, he passed his physical. Good thing right there for him. But I'm sure that was part of negotiating, too, is if that is an issue. But, again, his play on the field has been up. There's been no, knocking on wood, many missed games or anything like that available is what he's been.
ESPN's Matt Miller, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, has released a 7-round mock draft this morning on ESPN.com. Do we want what the top 10 picks are or what all the Titans picks are? Dealer's choice.
I mean, top 10 and
Top 10 first.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
Okay.
Caleb Williams 1, Jaden Daniels 2. A trade for Minnesota to move up to number 3 with New England, sending picks 11 and 23 and a 2025 first for the number 3 overall pick. And in this scenario, the Vikings select Drake May out of North Carolina.
Okay, so not JJ.
At number 4, the Denver Broncos move up with Arizona, and they trade pick number 12, a 2025 first, and a 2026 first for J.J. McCarthy to become the Denver Broncos. That's a heck of a lot of draft capital
Stretch.
for J.J. McCarthy. In this scenario, Marvin Harrison Jr. becomes an L.A. Charger. Malik Neighbors is a New York Giant, and you'll be shocked to learn that another mock draft has Joe Alt coming to the Tennessee Titans. At number 7, Matt Miller writing, after allowing 64 sacks last season, 4th most in the league, it is time for the Titans to figure out a new starting 5 on the offensive line. Cushenberry at center, but the left tackle spot absent of starting level talent, and Andre Dillard is gone after 1 season. Alt started 33 games in college and allowed just 6 sacks, including only 2 in his past 2 seasons. He has been penalized 5 times in college, of course. Dallas Turner at 8 to the Atlanta Falcons. That seems as clear as Joe Alt at 7 to the Titans. as it stands right now, unless you're Ramon Foster and you want those picks to be flipped.
Violence.
Roma Dunze at number 9 of the Chicago Bears, and Brock Bowers at 10 to the New York Jets.
Okay.
So in that scenario, then New England will be at 11, would take Olu Fashanu. The Cardinals would be at 12 and would take Brian Thomas. And wrapping up the quarterbacks, 5 in the top 13. There's Bo Nix. Pop it up like a rusty penny
I was going to say
at number 13 of the Las Vegas Raiders.
They like Bo. It's
Yeah.
going to be fascinating to
And
see
if they
where he
can get
actually
him.
goes. Him and Michael Penix Jr.
Right.
Quickly, the full Titans picks in the 7-round mock draft. 38, Edgerrin Cooper. Inside linebacker, Texas A&M. 106, a guy I really like, having done a little bit of research on him in the break when I started reading the story. Muhammad Kamara, defensive end from Colorado State, who had 14 sacks last season and ran a 4.57 40-yard dash at 248 pounds at the NFL Combine. 146, Kalen King, corner Penn State. 182, Braden McGregor, defensive end. L'Jarius Henderson, a guard out of Michigan. Michael Wiley, Arizona running back. And Trey Knox, a name SEC fans will know as a tight end out of South Carolina. 615-737-1045. Coming up, Brian Callahan discusses Calvin Ridley and a little more info on why the Titans got to Calvin Ridley and had so much money for him. Coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Secure Lawn, man, and all they want to do for you, whether you live in Davidson, Williamson, Sumner, Wilson, don't matter. They service all of Middle Tennessee, man. They want to provide a prime service to you. That starts off first and foremost with their website at securelawn.com. They have live chats on their website, and they can give you an estimate in a matter of minutes. Or if you want them to, they'll provide, again, that prime service and come out to your house, review your yard and flower bed, and tell you what you need. They are that good. And if you don't believe me, go to their reviews online. 5 stars all across the board. They want to provide you with a service that has your yard looking like the best in the neighborhood for the sustainable time of the summer, because it gets hot here and it beats your grass down. But they will make sure that you are right when it comes down to it. Again, do like I do. Reach out to the folks that I trust at Secure Lawn and let them provide a prime service to you to have those pesky weeds out of your grass and the greenest, thickest, best yard in the neighborhood. Call them at 615-893-8455 or go to securelawn.com.
What's going on? 7:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. NFL approved a new kickoff hybrid model that is similar to the XFL's, designed to limit speed and injuries while improving the number of quality plays. Eric Galko, who helped develop the plan for the XFL, was on 3HL yesterday and explained how it will affect kickoffs.
The kickoff and kickoff return is about 10 plays a game, and we all watch football. 95% of those plays are just kick out of the end zone. So now you're adding 10 plays to the game. By comparison, the average NFL game has about 12 red zone plays. We hear all the time about NFL teams practicing red zone and so much, and so this is going to add 10 more quality plays that can have a real impact on your game.
One-time Titan target cornerback Tre'Davious White signing a one-year deal worth up to $10 million with the Rams, who have now added 3 new starters in the secondary. White and Darius Williams at cornerback and Cameron Curl at safety. And the Preds keep the puck rolling, taking down the Golden Knights 5-4 in overtime. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Wednesday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone. RKW, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Robert Walsh keeps us between the navigational beacons. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll talk a little bit of Tennessee hoops. Take a deeper dive into Tennessee and Creighton and the matchup specifically. What Austin Price and Ron Slay told us yesterday, if you missed it. And an interesting point that Austin brought up that I don't necessarily agree with, but it got me thinking yesterday. I'm continuing to ruminate on it.
Ruminate?
Take the surprise out of your voice.
You got
That's right.
Buck Rising big words over here.
Thank you. 615-737-1045 and streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV. Pro Day in Knoxville today. What does a young Ramon Foster remember the most? You're already just grimacing. Mm-hmm. Remember the most from your pro day experience in Knoxville, Tennessee?
A guy just got a text from this morning in my 2004 recruiting class from UT, Ant Parker. He looked at me and was like, bro, why you let me go out here by myself? I caught the flu. I couldn't do my pro day.
No kidding.
So that would have been what? That would have been 2009 draft.
Yeah. And I needed my pro day.
I was going to say, was it a relief or not a relief?
It was not a relief, Kayla. I'm talking about nervous.
Yeah.
I'm talking about I needed my pro day because I had a bad 40. I needed the bench again. I had a 101 fever. I had to sit there and watch Anthony Parker get broke off.
There was one player pro day.
It was one offensive lineman.
Oh, okay.
And look, I see why, I'm going to be real. I see why Marvin Harrison Jr., Caleb Williams, these dudes choose not to work out. If you're top 10, man, screw that workout, okay? Because they don't want to do nothing but inflict pain on you. See how much they can break you off. Heavy bag, boom. Run the shuttle again, boom. Hit this bag, run down this field. Dude, oh, my gosh. But I wanted to do it. I simply could not do it. I had a 101 fever that day.
You didn't want to have a flu game? You want to have a flu pro day?
Not for those purposes, Bert. A part of me is like, should I have done it? I couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
you wouldn't have helped yourself.
And if I'm not mistaken, that was probably my first time in life ever catching the flu that I knew about.
And it comes at that time.
And it came at the worst time.
Do you think if you would have had a good pro day, Ramon, that you could have snuck into
a round? I think so.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't have been my story.
Nope, it wouldn't have.
I was going to say, too,
Exactly.
though, depending on where you landed and the career you had, everything happens for a reason.
I agree.
It did. And my appreciation for this process has always been so high, though, too. But I do look at that moment because I had a lot of weighing on it. I had a kid. Keisha was, me and her was together. Still are, okay? Now that's my wife, okay?
Thank you for clarifying.
I ain't got no baby mom. I got a wife out here, okay? With that being
goodness.
said, though, like, I just had a lot on my plate. I dropped weight the way I needed to. I wanted more than 20 reps on the 225. I needed to run a faster 40 and caught the friggin' flu. My journey, again, to your point, Will and Kayla, was had I had a good pro day, I probably would have gone somewhere where I'd have had a short career because I was with the team I should have been with.
And
Again,
Robert Ayers was the only Tennessee player to get drafted in 09.
he was.
And you and Arian Foster had long careers as undrafted rookies.
Arian did Russian title, Pro Bowl,
I
All
believe
Pro.
so.
Yeah. Crazy year that year. And
Yeah,
Anthony,
2010 rushing leader,
Russian
Arian
leader.
Foster.
Crazy, right? That's why I say it don't matter where you come from with that type of stuff, man. Once you get your foot in the door, the rest is on you.
Yep.
That's why I'm always on like the lower round dudes, though. Like, y'all dudes got talent. It's a matter of, one, can you stay healthy? Two, can you learn? Learning is the biggest part of welcoming to the league. Like, you don't think like learning, like whatever, but like the pace is so much faster because they can just simply, hey, you fired. You ain't on no
Sure.
scholarship here.
I was thinking out loud because I covered my first Tennessee Pro Day when I was in middle school.
Did you?
I did. And I was thinking, like, if there was any chance it was the same Pro Day you were in and how funny that would be. But I was in, I'm going to age myself a little bit, and I don't care. I was in 6th grade in the spring of 2009. So I was not, it was my 8th grade spring break. My brother was in local TV in Knoxville, and he had me come, quote, intern with him for a week of spring break. It was best spring break ever. And we went to Pat Summitt's house for the selection show party where she like has the media out and the team out to her house, and she makes food. Pat Summitt's homemade ice cream, incredible. Same thing with the Tennessee men's selection show party at Thompson Bowling, and then Pro Day was that week too. So my brother was like, "Why don't you just come and like carry my backpack around, and then I'll have you like edit a package or something." And so it was the 2011 Pro Day was the one I was at. But it's just funny that I was this close at middle school to like watching a young Ramon Foster maybe do Pro Day, but our paths did not cross.
Yeah, we did not cross.
An almost moment.
Almost moment, man. You probably were so fluent in football at that age, though, too. You've
No,
been in
I'm
sports for a
still.
while.
Some would say I'm still not fluent in football.
That's fair.
He
That's
was
fair.
learning, though, at a pretty good age under
Yeah.
a good mentor, I would say, in your bro.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to Wes, man. What's fascinating is the pro days now versus then is such a show. It's such
It's a lot
show.
different. And now like Tennessee will probably have former Vols who have transferred elsewhere come back. Like I remember when I was there, Quentin Dormady, who transferred out, came back and did his pro day in Knoxville. And there were some like Carson Newman players who came and Tennessee invited them as non-FBS players in East Tennessee to come do pro day with them.
Yeah, that type of stuff happens. It's
pretty cool.
Yeah, it is a real cool event.
I
It
loved
is.
pro days going to I felt like I was special or something being in there with all those GMs and coaches and scouts. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, it is a cool moment, but of course, stressful as heck.
I'm sure if
Absolutely.
you're the player.
Well, yesterday, Brian Callahan spoke with NFL Network. I thought this was interesting about Calvin Ridley and confirming that maybe Calvin Ridley was not plan A for the Titans this offseason.
How did this transpire for you, and when did you find out, like, oh, wow, we're actually getting this guy?
Yeah, we had Calvin initially targeted in our first plan of free agency, just to kind of keep track of where his market went, what the interest was. So we sort of kept in constant contact through the initial part of the free agency period. And we were interested, and we were just trying to see where it would all fit. We had some other targets and players that we were looking to potentially bring back, go sign, just like every free agency period. And some guys went other places, and we ended up having a little bit more money to kind of sweeten the deal and go make a run at him at the that evening we went after him. So we ended up talking to him, as that process was going along, get him a chance, because it's always awkward when you're trying to sign guys and they don't know anything about you, and so it was great. Rand and I got on the phone on Wednesday with him and just had a chance to visit and just pitched what we were trying to build and what he would mean to us. And obviously money talks in free agency, but it's a huge addition for us. He's a really, really good player. I think will add a lot of explosiveness to our offense.
In other words, the Titans had better luck than the Colts With info coming out now from Stephen Holder of ESPN.com that the Colts offered Danielle Hunter more money than the Texans did, only for Danielle Hunter to become a Houston Texan. Good on Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan for recognizing, all right, we've got maybe a bit more money through this phase of free agency than we thought we would. That is why you overpay for a wide receiver, because while Calvin Ridley may not have been plan A for them to spend all of that money on, you got to spend it somewhere, like we've talked about, and they got the deal done. It's interesting.
Absolutely. And when you mention the coach situation right there, as far as him not being able to sign Danielle Hunter, I think it proves, one, that maybe Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon know how to talk themselves into a deal and contract. And I'm sure, and he said that on the radio with us when he talked to Calvin, right? It was a conversation of, man, the familiarity of one another, understanding their backgrounds. And then, of course, Calvin's, I think they live right down the road from here in Huntsville. He disclosed that on the OTP, if I'm not mistaken. So it was close. It's home. It's relationships. It's the understanding of where this guy was and how his pathway has been through the NFL. And Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon made him feel at home. So much so that he left Jacksonville, because Jacksonville did have the ability to counter whatever the Titans were sending, whatever they were offering. And he chose here. Money does talk. Brian Callahan just said that. That's a factor in all of this also. But for him not to know what a Brian Callahan is as a head coach, I think says a good bit about it. And, of course, having one of his assistant coaches from Jacksonville here too, Hall's, what's his name? I'll get it in a minute. But having him here, the Jacksonville quarterback coach, or passing game coordinator now.
Bo Hardigree.
Bo Hardigree.
Nick Holtz.
Nick Holtz. Who's now
You said
the
quarterback
offensive
coach.
coordinator.
Bo Hardigree. Yep.
Yeah, but having Nick Holtz here too, I think played a part in it.
Yeah,
and
it
he
seems-
acknowledged that.
Yeah, it seems like they had a pretty good relationship in the 1 year they were together down there. But you're right. I know the Titans, we mentioned this, they don't get the national love. I don't think that matters at this point for players. I think sometimes they like playing in a market like this where maybe you don't have eyes on you every, second of the day. And think about that. He could have went to the Patriots. We heard his, girlfriend wanted to stay more south, which I'm sure was part of it. But also staying in the division, knowing your opponents in the division, I think that's always maybe fun for a player too, to transfer to the other side when money's involved. You're always going to take that pot.
Absolutely.
Coming up, Austin Price had something interesting to say yesterday about why Tennessee Creighton is a more difficult game than an ensuing Elite Eight matchup for Tennessee. I'm not sure I agree, but it does get us thinking. Next. Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling here for my friends at League Company. Look, Mother Nature always changes what the weather feels like in Middle Tennessee, but I think it's safe to say right now springtime is officially here. And as the weather begins to warm, League Company has your back to make sure your home's air conditioning is working efficiently. One of their expert technicians will perform a 22-point inspection as well as seasonal cleaning and maintenance to help you stay ahead of the changing weather. And thanks to their visual findings platform, their professional team virtually shows you exactly what they see, in addition to updates and information on your unit's efficiency. You got to cross this one off your spring to-do list and call League Company at 615-567-1000, or you can go online, leaguecompany.com/promotions to get $20 off your air conditioning tune-up today. That's 615-567-1000 to get $20 off your AC tune-up today online at leaguecompany.com/promotions. That's League Company, all you need. RKW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone. 615-737-1045 our number. I had a thought yesterday of something we should bring back on this show, and this song reminded me of it.
What's that?
Celebrity Playlist Fridays
Yeah.
I'm into that.
on Ramon, Kayla, and
Let's
Will.
go.
It's about to get warm, too. We can start getting people to do a playlist.
Yeah.
Start with the three of us, perhaps.
Yeah.
Who's to say?
I don't care what kind of music y'all like
Oh, I know.
Oh, man.
at all.
At all? What
Not
about-
one
But
bit.
it's cool. Like we got through a little era of the Zone where we were getting where y'all had athlete, like y'all had, I think Bud Dupree once
Yeah,
did
Bud did.
one.
Oh, really?
Like it was
Yep.
cool. I mean, people don't care about us, but like it was cool when we had athletes and coaches and people like giving playlists for Fridays.
I'm
I feel
cool
like
with that.
we could get some.
We should. We
Who's to
definitely
say?
should do that. Even if we can do college players too. I'm into that. As far as baseball season going on, coaches. I love to see a coaches playlist.
Rand's.
NIL
I want to
deal
see
with
Rand's playlist.
Yep,
Rand would be a good person to start that back. Actually,
that would be.
He'd have a Lil Wayne on there.
Lil Wayne
Isn't he
on
a
there.
Lil Wayne fan?
Yeah, moving like real G's moving silence like lasagna. He dropped that on this show. That's crazy. And
That was a
reference
good
Will
line.
Bowling.
he
I
sure
know.
did.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be that cool. I'm not that
As
cool.
cool as me.
I'm not that cool.
Cool as me.
Yeah, get on my level, Ramon Foster.
No doubt, man.
This was funny yesterday from Will Warren. Does a great job covering Tennessee hoops and college basketball. Chalk it up to just eerie things that happen in sports. So Creighton has 18 NCAA tournament bids since 1985. Its best run in the Elite Eight was in 2023 as a 6 seed, where they lost by 1 to a 5 seed. Tennessee has 18 NCAA tournament bids since 1985. Their best run was to the Elite Eight in 2010 as a 6 seed when they lost by 1 to a 5 seed.
Oh, my gosh.
Similar. Wow.
What the heck?
Yeah,
Jeez Louise.
kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy.
Is it a full moon on what day? Thursday?
I think we just went past it. We just went past it. We don't need whatever that's going to happen in Detroit need to be a solid matchup, man. And both coaches are talking each other's teams up. Defensively is where they're starting with the Vols and stuff like that. It will be a fascinating matchup for a team like them against an SEC team. And Creighton's good, been good.
What do you like about the matchup, looking at Creighton and looking at where Tennessee is after the first weekend?
What I like about it is hopefully having the Vols being able to bounce back. As far as three-point shooting, seeing if they can suffocate them as far as defense goes, too. That's one thing that Creighton's been chirping about as of late is the defense of Zakai and watching them hold teams like Texas to under 30% as far as field goals and stuff like that from the stripe. How they defend around the perimeter. I want to see if Creighton is just talking that up or can we play with them, and also the sizing aspect of it, too. Their heights compared to ours as far as their the point guards and stuff. I will be very interested to see how they allow them to attack in this next round of the March Madness. Will the referees be consistent and let these two teams go at it? Because the conversation's been also they only are about 7 deep. If they do allow them to play, I want to see how the Vols fare as far as their quality of those 7 versus how deep our bench can be in moments where guys have to score points too.
That's a big one in terms of how deep your bench goes. Especially this time of March where you're at the point now that you've played a couple games, you're now in the Sweet 16. We've heard time and time again that it's their starters that are pretty much the guys that are from start to finish. And I feel like that's where the Vols definitely have a little bit of an advantage, is to wear this team down. And I think like when it comes to this matchup, it'll be really interesting. Obviously, these two teams are here for a reason, but I think like the Vols overall just have a little bit more of advantage when it comes to the depth of this team. And you know the way that this team plays defense can get in your head. I think getting off to a good start for this Vols team is really crucial too, because if you can also kind of get off to a start like that, set the tempo early, and kind of get them in their own issues and get them, having to probably wear down a little bit more. I feel like this Vols team has the advantage overall. But again, it just depends. I mean, if they're hitting their threes and they're the ones that get off to that start, that can always be an issue if a team is on on that specific night.
Yeah.
And this team could be on.
And I'm hoping that the defense travels more than anything. I'm hoping that, to me, is the reason why they win this game. Even if they got to slow it down, don't get the transition points, the turnovers are a big part of it, the same way we had to watch the Texas game. Hey, they supplemented points by getting turnovers and scoring turnovers, scoring
points
in
off
those
turnovers,
moments, too.
yeah.
So Creighton is a never-die type of team, strong-minded, will get up and down the floor when possible, but I think our defense handles the job when it comes down to them. I also want to see the effects of a 10 o'clock tip.
They've played later games.
They have played
right?
later games?
I mean,
I don't know if I've ever
like
seen a 10 tip.
No, that's late. I'm just saying
okay.
in this tournament so far, the Vols have had kind of a little bit of a later schedule compared to some of these other teams that are playing in the afternoon. But yeah, this is definitely the latest start I've seen in a while with this team.
Tennessee also played at 10 Eastern earlier this year in San Antonio against NC State, when Tennessee beat NC State earlier this season. So for me, too, I just don't think that affects college kids.
Okay.
It might affect the crowd a little bit and how hydrated members of the Tennessee fan base are in Detroit, perhaps. But I think it's interesting. Creighton has made more threes than anyone in the tournament so far this year. When they played a member of the Rick Barnes coaching tree in Providence and Kim English, who beat them twice this year, they were 6 of 26 behind the arc in the Big East tournament. So you look at a defense that's built similarly to Tennessee's without the athletes that Tennessee has, and you like what Providence was able to do, coached a similar way to the way Rick Barnes is coaching the Vols in that one. I think it's interesting. The depth thing isn't as much of an advantage for me personally, because Creighton doesn't foul.
Yeah.
They haven't had a guy foul out all season. And the way that this game is officiated within the first 5 to 10 minutes of each half, to me, is pertinent. Because if this game is officiated like an SEC game where there's a whistle every other trip down the floor, then I would actually give the advantage to Tennessee in that context. Even though Tennessee typically has the advantage when it's more physical, when you can be more of an intense defensive team within that. But if Creighton has to go to its bench and they only play 7 guys and their 7th guy only plays 9 minutes a game, then maybe that does give Tennessee an advantage. I thought this was interesting yesterday from VolQuest's Austin Price, who in his breakdown of Tennessee and Creighton, and we'll hear what Ron Slay had to say yesterday, too, coming up here in just a minute. Austin Price thinks the Sweet 16 game is easier than a potential Elite 8 game.
I think one of the keys to this game, and I've said it the last couple of days on VolQuest, is second chance opportunities for Creighton. You know, they shoot so many threes, and when you're shooting threes, normally a lot of the rebounds, you know, kind of get some, you know, they carry them out, you know, decently far. It's not just as simple as right there at the rim. So I think, you know, the ability to be aggressive, to not allow Creighton to out-hustle you and get offensive boards and get second looks, I think will be a big key in this basketball game. I do like the matchup, but again, I think this is a tough game to get over if you're Tennessee. You've only been to the Elite Eight one time in your history. I think this is by far the harder of the two games, just from a mentality standpoint of getting over the hump. I think if they can make the Elite Eight, they're more playing with house money because they'll be at a place where only one Tennessee team has been in history. And I think that, again, I think this next game will be a tough one, but I do like the matchup. I love Zakai's matchup, and I like the fact that I think Dalton's going to have a much better kind of viewpoint on the rim. I thought that Texas did a phenomenal job of guarding him. I'm not sure Creighton has anybody that can do what they did.
So Austin says a Sweet 16 game could be potentially more difficult, considering it's a Tennessee program that has only made it past the Sweet 16 once. How much does Tennessee's NCAA tournament history matter going into Friday night?
I think because of the super seniors you have, experience, the transfer, and Dalton Connect, and Zakai battling back the way he has this past year to get healthy, I don't see that being the case for him. I just don't. I don't agree with him on that one, Will. When it breaks down to how this team is viewed, I think they're in their own world right now. What team has been crafted like this one has in Tennessee's past history? Not a single one, to my understanding. They may have had some older players, but we're talking about guys that are back for their 5th and 6th years with the transfer that's coming to being the player of the year. Like, those are different conversations with a defense that has been traveling for the most part, game in and game out. And I think the last game against Texas changes the narrative and storyline for the history of Tennessee in this tournament than almost any other time that I can remember. They won this game by, I'm talking about being putrid from the 3-point line, right? And they still pulled it off. Like, those are the differences, I think, in how you have to judge this squad based off your history. At some point in time, that history just has to be something that you look back on and nothing that as a squad or fan base that you're leaning on is like, VFL.
I was about to start.
That's my fault.
Welcome to the club.
I thought we were doing a music bet under this.
That was
this
Robert
preaching
Walsh's
statement.
revenge on Ramon dunking on him yesterday.
No, that was me trying to complete HSI training at work. That's my fault.
I kind of liked that.
I should,
can I get that bet under my argument now?
Yeah, give me 1 second, Kayla.
No, absolutely not.
I felt like I was at the club or something.
I was thinking to myself, is this the Dave Chappelle wrap it up moment? I was like, I was about to end, bro.
All right. Now to Kayla. Come on, Ramon.
So what
Give it
I'm
up.
saying with
I
this,
was done.
I kind of like that. That's on our HR that stuff. Okay, I need to get that track. No, I actually agree with Austin a little on this, in the fact that no, I don't necessarily think the players have this in the back of their minds, but I think overall, clearly the fan base, many fans have this in the back of their mind. That's not going to affect the way the team plays. But I do feel like if you get over this spot that for so long, Rick Barnes as a coach has been trying to get over, because we know this is the first Elite Eight he could possibly get to since 2008 when he was clearly with Texas. This would be, I hate to say this, but kind of monumental, right? For the program, for Rick Barnes, for this specific group where you kind of have expected them to get to this point with the team that they've built and the addition of Dalton Connect. I feel like it would be a little bit of weight off your shoulder if you can get this matchup with Creighton in the rear view mirror. And we heard Ron Slay say yesterday, once that game is done, it's done and it's on to the next one. And I think that this will be a difficult battle. I see this going down possibly to the wire. I thought this was an interesting note I read too. In 4 of the 5 NCAA tournament exits at Tennessee with Rick Barnes, the squad was actually held to less than 70 points in regulation, which I feel like is an interesting point too. They have the offense this year. That is the difference with this team from some of the teams in the past. Now just execute on that. I think they can. I just think this is going to be the more difficult matchup.
We asked Slay yesterday about how Creighton resembles Alabama this season, and Slay told us that's the first thing he noticed when he saw the matchup.
Yeah, that was the first thing that came to mind when you looked at the way Creighton plays. You take a little bit of the athleticism away that Alabama has, and the dynamic playmaking skills that Mark Sears brings to the game. Also Estrada as well, as far as getting others involved. Theirs with Alabama is more individual as far as the talent getting the guys involved. Creighton is more of the system getting guys involved. So I think that would be the only big difference. But Creighton can stay out there and knock it down. And I think being able to have Kim English play against those guys in the Big East, that's key to be able to tap into, to see how he was able to beat them twice, and also be able to look at the film from when playing Alabama and just knowing, understanding what, where rebounds like to go on long rebounds. You got to box out, don't run to the rim, chasing the ball, hit your man first, and then we can get out and run. I think, but those things are details that come with defense. So it's not a big time adjustment for Tennessee to me that you have to be like, all right, y'all, we got to settle in, make sure you box out. That's a part. You finish defensive possessions by getting the rebound. So in order to do that, you have to pay attention to those details, box out, don't be fouling people on threes, giving them 3 shots and things of that nature to get them going. But I also think extend the pace, extend the pressure, and speed up the pace offensively. When you get it, you got to go. You got to go, man. Keep those guys in cross matches. I think Josiah will be a huge impact in this game, being able to get the rebound, if he can rebound like he did, and push the tempo instead of a lot of times looking at Zakai, getting him to push it. If he pushes and I think lets Zakai run some, he could be a problem. You know what I mean? Kind of like what Cam Matthews was able to do for Mississippi State, being that big guy playing the 4-point forward spot. So, man, they got a good team. McDermott knows what he's doing. It works. They ain't got to go deeper than 7. I think you have to understand who the officials are in this game as well. And you got to try to set the tone early.
Sure.
You know what I mean? If you hit them in the mouth early, you'll be fine, and you dictate the tempo. If y'all gonna call a lot of fouls, hey, let's be it. Let's call a lot of fouls. You look at it against Texas, that was half of the problem. Like, Texas wasn't able to get a lot of fouls, and they worked to them until the end of the game when they had to start fouling because of the fouls were so different as far as 7-2, I think, at one point. But in Creighton, if you can get Creighton to switch on some possessions, get some counters, make sure you get back on defense, you'll be fine.
Creighton wants you to take 15-foot jump shots or threes. And they've got the defensive player of the year in the Big East and Ryan Kalkbrenner, who the drop coverage they play on ball screens, they want to play 2-on-2 with you. And he's going to sit right in front of the rim, right in the paint, and say, come on, let's go. This game just comes down to shooting jump shots and making them. If you're Tennessee, to me, forget the fact that you've never been to the Elite Eight more than once. I don't think these players care. I don't think these players are thinking about it. I don't think the history is on their minds at all. I think they're more focused on why couldn't we make jump shots against Texas and how do we switch that? And to me, I feel better about this game knowing that they won and survived that shooting performance. I think this team is due to make some jump shots. And I think they're going to make some jump shots against a Creighton team that will let you shoot. Now, they want you to take threes. They're very good at stopping threes. They're 6th in college basketball in 3-point attempts allowed to total field goals allowed. And they're defensively in the top 60 in 3-point percentage allowed at 31.7%. But they want you to take mid-range jumpers, and if Tennessee makes them, they'll be just fine.
2 guys I need in this game. I need Josiah and I need Dalton. Screens.
Definitely.
I need them too. Everything else, I think, handles itself like last week with the defense, right?
I would agree. Coming up next, there is a kick returner that was signed after the new kickoff rule was made yesterday, but I'm not sure he's the kind of kick returner that is going to be best in the NFL anymore, even though he's evolved. We'll talk about that next.
If you want an engagement ring that she will be proud to wear, there's only one place to go, and that's Genesis Diamonds. Genesis has cornered the market on all the world-class designers. These New York and Los Angeles-based designers are the best of the best. Every store wants them, but very few stores make the cut. Genesis, though, they made the cut. Has all the luxury brands, all the ones women are asking for. So don't settle. Get her the ring of her dreams at Genesis. And don't think you'll pay more either. Genesis has complete, ready-to-wear designer rings as low as $1,900. And, of course, no jeweler can beat the price of Genesis diamonds. Whether you want a natural diamond or a lab-grown diamond, Genesis has the guaranteed best price and highest quality, and only Genesis gives you a 120% diamond upgrade guarantee, plus free service for life. All this with no commission salespeople, so there's never any pressure to buy. Nobody delivers for you like Genesis does when it comes to quality, value, selection, warranties, or customer care. Get the deal you deserve on your diamond at Genesis Diamonds. And now with an expanded selection, luxury, pre-owned Rolex watches, all the hard-to-find models too. So check them out at Genesis, located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone. Coming up in 15 minutes, congratulations to SEC fans around the country. Sean Calipari's back. We'll talk about that and the decision made by Kentucky leadership coming up at 8 o'clock. 615-737-1045. How you jump in? Let's go to Micah in Nolansville, hanging out with us on the phones this morning. What's up, Micah? Micah, what's going on?
Uh-oh. I think he might have us on hold.
Not there.
I can put him in timeout.
He's never dropped the ball.
I know, ever,
That's
man.
true.
He might be, maybe he had to go do something here because he is at school.
Need to be at school getting his education, right, Kayla?
Interesting yesterday in the meantime that the Steelers added Cordero Patterson on the same day as the NFL changed kickoff rules. I thought this was interesting. So Cordero Patterson owns the NFL record for most career kickoff return touchdowns with 9. And also was with Arthur Smith, now Steelers offensive coordinator, the last 3 years in Atlanta, where he had 1,494 rushing yards, 14 touchdowns on the ground, adding 82 catches for 708 yards and 6 receiving scores with the Falcons. Eric Galko was on 3HL yesterday, one of the creators of the XFL-style kickoff, who, well, now has influence over the NFL kickoff, considering he's the one that helped make it. He tweeted this out yesterday. I thought it was interesting. Said, return value will be less about top-end speed and burst and more about vision and reacting. In short, more running back attacking the hole type returners will be more valuable than receivers navigating in open field types. Even adding that bigger athletic running backs like Louisville's Isaac Guerrero will not only be potential returners but coveted options moving forward into the draft process, into the new style kickoff. I almost wonder if Cordero Patterson is a little bit of a dying breed in terms of returner types, and if he's not even really the type of returner we're going to see across the league.
His age, I mean, about to be
33.
33.
33?
Only thing I think that separates him, and the reason you mentioned guys like Guerrero, who I liked out of Louisville, is this. With how close they are, breaking tackles because of the short line and where they're starting at may be a thing. Like the smaller, quick gadget guy may get caught, may get slung to the ground a whole lot faster. Having the ability to break a tackle or two, I think has become, to your point, Will, more of an item or requirement for the returners than actually just having pure speed. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so much. It's so quick, so fast. Your blocking unit has to turn around, see their man, get them, and then you make a cut. Speed and power, I think, is going to be a huge addition to guys that do this type of stuff.
It's interesting. I don't know if I would just say just because he's this size and he's that size, I'm going to discriminate against what he can do as a returner. Because the first thing that popped into my head when I heard vision and reacting was Tajay Spears. Because what Tajay you've seen him get out of in terms of situations last year and how he reacts to the defender. I thought about him in that kick return spot, which, by the way, he's top of the depth chart right now when it comes to the Titans kick returner. He has that ability while he's smaller. He has that ability to react. He can read and react very well. And so I can see a guy like Tajay, though, be successful with this new rule.
Is it more important to prioritize Tony Pollard in special teams as a returner or Tajay Spears?
Me personally, just thinking about how the makeup of the team is and stuff like that, I think Tony Pollard's special team days are over. When you get that second contract and you've already had a major injury and stuff like that, just more exposure. I ain't counting it out, but I don't think he'll be a guy that'll get an opportunity in situations like that. Before he was suspended or put on the commission exempt list, Hassan Haskins was the guy that returned kicks. Maybe that's where his value and his ability to show that he deserves to be on this roster plays a part in it. I know he's like a long lost cause, and he's done nothing since being drafted in 22.
Yeah, I mean,
nothing. But that's a lane for him.
Yeah.
Cousin Brian in the F&M Bank chat says Kyrus Jackson will be back as the return man. I don't know. I don't know if Kyrus Jackson's making this team.
Yeah, I'm not completely sold on that one.
Because if they're still drafting a wide receiver, you would imagine that guy's making the team over an undrafted guy that was added by the previous administration.
And Willie, I think it was in a break you asked this, but I did a little digging. Who are the players that this benefits the most in the NFL draft? And we're talking about bigger returners, guys that aren't necessarily the beat you with speed guys. One of those guys who can beat you with speed is Xavier Worthy. I think he provides the difference or the addition of vision and speed. But the guy that immediately came to mind for me was South Carolina's Xavier Leggett, who returned 25 kicks in the last 2 years for South Carolina. 6'3", 225, a bigger guy. I wonder if that's where the league is going to. I'm fascinated by this. I went down a huge rabbit hole yesterday about roster management and how it could change how many players you keep. I cannot wait to have Coach Mack on tomorrow to ask him about all the finer details before you guys have him on.
So
I love it.
Eric Galco yesterday on Twitter also says that in the XFL, teams that had the most success had decisive one-cut players rather than their fastest guys. Wesley on YouTube says Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a top speed, straight line speed guy. He was not a one-cut, tight spaces, get around a guy in a phone booth kind of returner.
And I'm also seeing a lot of people complain about it, saying, oh, well, this is going to ruin the whole game. There was one touchdown in the XFL off this last year. One touchdown. Now, you could say there's a speed and talent disparity on special teams in the two leagues, but that remains to be seen. But to say that this is going to ruin the game is a little far step for me. Everybody's getting a little happy about these flag football conversations. Like, just get over it and watch the game.
Just tell me you don't understand it without telling me you don't understand it.
100%.
You know how disrespectful that is to players, though, too?
The flag
in what
football
way?
thing was more
flag
true
football.
of just putting it through the end zone every time. Like, that was flag football and just being – like playing it safe, we don't want you hitting each other. Like this is actually more a return to playing football. Yeah.
I love it. I have nothing against it.
I'm with it.
615-737-1045. We'll get back to your reactions coming up to begin hour number 3. Dan Graziano of ESPN scheduled to join us at 8:20 this morning. But next, the biggest story in college basketball, all about the coach that luckily for a lot of people in this city was bounced in the first round of college basketball. Next.
It's Ramon Foster for Wesley Mortgage, man, and I'm going to give you the website right now, whywesley.com. That's where you need to go, okay, before we get even further into it, because Wesley Mortgage right now is currently recruiting top mortgage talent, and they are hiring, okay? Best thing about them, man, is the owner, Chuck McDowell. If you've met Chuck, ran into Chuck, had somebody talk about Chuck McDowell, you understand this, man. He's from this area, Nashville native, and loves his community and always looking to pour into it, okay? And is proud to serve it. Chuck's reinvest in the people and the places that make Nashville such a beautiful place. While other mortgage companies are downsizing, Chuck McDowell and the Wesley Mortgage team, they are rapidly expanding in Nashville, keeping people working in the careers that they love, and they love to have you join their team. Their team has a huge networking opportunities for you through the Tennessee Titans and the Music City Grand Prix. They make closing deals and building relationships fun again. So if you're in the mortgage industry and you're tired of the grind, tired of the pressure, and tired of micromanaging everything to make sure your clients get handled correctly, then you owe it to yourself to go to whywesley.com and join the Wesley Mortgage team.
What's going on? 8 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. New NFL approved a new hybrid kickoff model similar to the XFL's, designed to limit speed and injuries while improving the number of quality plays. Eric Galko, who helped develop the plan for the XFL, was on 3HL yesterday and explained how it will affect kickoffs.
The kickoff and kickoff return is about 10 plays a game, and we all watch football. 95% of those plays are just kick out of the end zone. So now you're adding 10 plays to the game. By comparison, the average NFL game has about 12 red zone plays. We hear all the time about NFL teams practicing red zone and so much, and so like this is going to add 10 more quality plays that can have a real impact on your game.
Former Titans target and Pro Bowl veteran cornerback Tre'Davious White signing a one-year deal worth up to $10 million with the Rams, who have now added 3 quality starters to the secondary: White and Darius Williams at cornerback and Cameron Curl at safety. And the Preds keep the winning streak rolling, taking down the Golden Knights in overtime 5-4. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show and hour number 3 starts right now on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast. And coming up in 20 minutes, National NFL insider Dan Graziano will join us. We'll get the latest on how the Titans got the L'Jarius Sneed deal over the line and how teams are reacting to the hip drop tackle rule, the way that might impact a couple of different positions, because I still have a theory that tight ends are more valuable now with the hip drop tackle rule coming into the NFL in 2024. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, Will Bowling with you. 615-737-1045. How you jump in. Just took a walk outside. It is still way too cold outside.
It does look nice.
So if you're beginning your work commute, it is hoodie in the morning and no need of the hoodie for the rest of the day weather outside.
Hey, it's a Tennessee spring, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Sure is.
Yep.
John Calipari will continue to be the head coach at Kentucky. Official yesterday, according to a report from KSR's Matt Jones. Mitch Barnhart, the athletic director, confirming this in a tweet yesterday on social media. Essentially, the report is that John Calipari no longer runs his own basketball program. Mitch Barnhart and the university will now have oversight, will now have accountability, will now be apprised of the situation moving forward. So congratulations to the rest of the SEC. Calipari is coming back.
Yeah. I got no problem with him coming back. I think over the last few days, he's had former players. Rajon Rondo has been talking. Boogie Cousins, they did a podcast together. It was actually Savage that sent me the clips of it, of Rondo essentially saying, like, Kentucky is a brand. And he's played for Cal, right? And he's telling Boogie Cousins, DeMarcus Cousins, hey, man, he got to win. Kentucky's going to be fine with or without Cal. It's not as if we just started a legacy there. He's won 1 championship in his time being there. And, yes, he's put players in the NBA, but he has to put banners up. You can't continue to tout your players as being, hey, we've got this many billions of dollars worth of contracts, and you start reeling off all your guys. That's awesome. But for the people that are season ticket holders, and I've heard you guys tell the story on, Kentucky fans come to Nashville or these SEC tournaments or road games because they can't get into Rupp Arena. Mm-hmm. So the people that have those season tickets want to see another banner go up. And if for anything, they got equestrian money. Okay, they got long money when it comes down to supporting what Kentucky does. And those people sit on those courtside seats, so in those stands, they want to see wins inside of Lexington, inside of Rupp Arena. You can't have Gonzaga coming into town or Tennessee coming into town beating you, or you get knocked out in the first or second round of the NCAA tournament. It means more to them. That Kentucky legacy will live further past Cal. And Cal will be a blip if he doesn't start changing the way he recruit, coach, and his philosophies on what Kentucky basketball standards are. I feel like, in my opinion, Cal has made this about him becoming a big star with his players. No, you win and post banners up. That's how you become a bigger star and get statues out front of buildings like that.
I think sometimes as a coach, I think there's truth to that. I think you can get so comfortable as a coach at a program that's a blue blood, which, mind you, did a lot before Cal was there. I mean, this is a historic basketball program and has been for years. And Coach Cal took it to the next level, no doubt, because he's had success really putting these guys that we know in the NBA to that level quickly. And then it's immediately brought back to, oh, yeah, Coach Cal coached him. It's like we talk in the NFL about certain programs launch players and really certain positions to have success at the next level. And who gets the credit for that? Usually the coach where they come from at the college level. And I think for a little bit, Coach Cal has ridden on that and not necessarily where I need to take my program to the next level, which is something they have not done in a minute. I mean, the last regular season SEC title was 2020, so not super long ago. But when you're talking about tournament success in March Madness, conference tournament champions, the last time, NCAA tournament champions was 2012, like you mentioned, the only one that he had. The last Final Four, 2015. Last Elite Eight, 2019. That's not good enough for a program that gets that much hype and that is known as a blue blood. And I feel like that's now why we're seeing there's going to be somebody over him to kind of say, hey, look, it's not just your program. We've got to get this in the right direction. We can't rest on what we did in the past, because look what's happened to UCLA. Look at UCLA. Historic program when it comes to basketball, right? They've been not really a thing in years. I mean, they made a tournament run a few years ago, but other than that, but other than that, they have not sustained that consistently.
Yeah.
By the way, Rondo played for Tubby.
Yeah, I was going to say John Calipari
Okay.
started in 2009, so that was the interesting part of that podcast was that DeMarcus Cousins, who played for John Calipari, is defending Cal a bit more than Rajon Rondo, who was there, who left in 2006 at that point. I think the interesting thing from this story, and KSR's Jack Pilgrim says that staff changes are coming both to the assistant coaching staff and to the support staff. And that essentially the way I understand it is John Calipari was running his own program with no oversight from the athletic department, from Mitch Barnhart. Matt Jones saying on a Twitter Spaces call, the university will basically say you're not operating on an island anymore. Mm-hmm. There's going to have to be changes in terms of staff. There's going to have to be changes in terms of how things are done on a day-to-day basis. What this screams to me is you got one more year. You caught us off guard by losing again in March, and we need a year to put a list together and figure out who we're going to replace you with this time next year. That is all that says to me, because when you start playing this game of forced changes on the staff, oversight from an athletic director who I don't think gets along super well with Calipari, and all right, I'm going to start really watching everything you're doing, you're already fired. You're already gone. They just don't want to do it right now. At that point, if you're Kentucky, act like it. That's the thing that doesn't make sense to me. If you really want to fire the guy and you want to have all this oversight and checks and balances, just go get a different coach. Like, could you imagine a program of that level of history in football doing this? Like, could you imagine Alabama football doing something like this? No, Alabama football would fire somebody and they would get a new guy in. Mm-hmm. We do it with football coaches all the time, and they have the money to do this. The $33 million is not an issue because of the way the contract is worded. It's like Kentucky basketball has forgotten who they are. And I say that as someone with no allegiance whatsoever, obviously, to Kentucky. But being totally unbiased in this and wearing a gray colored hat, not a blue or an orange one. Like, you're Kentucky. Why aren't you acting like it?
And their fan base is fed up. But here's the thing. They've probably been so separated from how he operates, the stuff that he does, that they're trying to figure it out and rein it in as an administration, too. They've essentially put a hole in the bottom of his ship. And they're just waiting for water to take on as far as his time in Kentucky is concerned right now. And you're right, Will. They are Kentucky. People will leave their current jobs to go take that job. Look at Washington's situation, right? They had a coach in 48 hours. Because of the profile of what Alabama football is, and Kentucky's in that same conversation. It's just that he has so much power. And as I said, they put a hole in his ship, but Kyle has a yacht. I'm talking about he's got a cruise ship with the amount of power and influence that he has. Like I said, as big as his players are in the NBA, he's that big in Lexington, in Kentucky. He travels around and talk about how big of a program he's built and the amount of money that his players have gotten over this time. There's no lie to be told in that. But the wins, to your point, Will, and how they operate as a university year in and year out matters more for the people that don't watch NBA. I got a feeling most Kentucky Wildcat fans aren't big NBA fans unless they're watching one of their
players, right?
Yeah.
Unless they're watching the players, right? I think it means more to those folks up there. And they are operating like somebody that's saying, all right, we got to be careful with Cal because we don't want a black eye. Screw that. To your point, you are Kentucky basketball, as much as it pains me to say that.
Let's go to Micah in Nolensville. Try him again. What's up, Micah?
Hey, sorry about that. I was getting the breakfast in, but
It's all good.
I want to talk some Vols here. So Tennessee, they take on the Creighton, the Blue Jays. Dogs eat birds. Rocky Top, the Smoky Tea eats the Blue Jays. All right, we're winning 70-50. Rocky Top all the way. Creighton has no chance against Tennessee, and it is going to be Tennessee Rocky Top all the way to the top. We're winning it all this year.
Go off, Micah.
He ate Wheaties for breakfast.
Micah
What
Nolensville.
he's doing.
There we go.
Dogs eat birds.
I want him to cuss so bad.
Oh, my gosh.
What is wrong
Don't
with
wish
you?
that upon the young man.
Corrupting the future of America.
It's on par.
Weekdays from 6 to 10.
That would be
He just
awesome.
hits us with a hell yeah go Vols one time. I'm losing it.
Right?
Have y'all seen the videos of parents living giving their kids a freebie to curse with their phone recording
love
on them?
it.
Oh, my gosh. What if he's talking to his mom right now? Hey, Mom, can I say one word, please? Bert's dying laughing back there.
I was raised in the era where I wasn't allowed to say shut up. Shut
Oh,
up
wow.
was a cuss word in our family.
Dang was in mine.
Stupid was too.
Dang is too close to the other one. Yeah,
Yep.
you couldn't tell people shut up.
I couldn't say gosh.
I
Really?
couldn't say gosh.
Yeah.
I couldn't say gosh dang.
No, yeah.
You don't want to
no.
see my list.
Oh,
'Cause
my gosh.
Coming up next, ESPN's Dan Graziano joins us. How the Titans got L'Jarius Sneed over the line and why there wasn't a more robust market for his services. Next.
If you're thinking about purchasing a new Ford truck, the time is now at Two Rivers Ford because it is truck month. They've got financing rates as low as 1.9%, no payments for 90 days, and bonus cash offers. And this is all on top of Two Rivers Ford low prices because they always sell below MSRP. In fact, way below MSRP. But the best part about truck month is there's no pressure to buy because Two Rivers Ford has non-commissioned sales team, okay? Is if you're just interested in test driving, not ready to purchase yet, no problem. You can even call them and schedule a test drive at your house, your home, whatever makes it easier for you, okay? There's a reason Two Rivers Ford has been a landmark local business in our community for over 40 years, and a reason they're one of the top Ford dealers in the nation. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most reliable Ford dealer.
Wednesday morning rolls on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW brewed by 8th and Roast with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. You see him on Get Up, and right now you can hear him on the show, courtesy of ESPN. He is Dan Graziano, NFL insider and writer, kind enough to join us for a few minutes this morning. Good morning, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys today?
Good.
Morning.
We're good. Dan, let's start with the most recent news for the Titans and the big move, acquiring L'Jarius Sneed from the Kansas City Chiefs. What did you make of Sneed's market, and why ultimately do you think the Titans were able to be the ones to get this deal done?
Well, I think what the Chiefs were looking for was, someone who would compensate them to what they thought was worth it, but also it had to be somebody who was willing to pay L'Jarius Sneed the contract he was looking for, because otherwise he wasn't going to agree to the trade. He's a franchise player. He has to sign the franchise tender in order for the trade to happen. So, I think the Titans found that sweet spot. They were willing to pay him like a top cornerback, which is what he's been. And then they were willing to give up the pick that the Chiefs were looking for. So Chiefs kind of had to move on. I mean, they have some cap issues. They had to stretch, obviously, to keep Chris Jones, who's the big difference maker in the middle of their defensive line. But they've kind of – the Chiefs have done this before. You think back to like Marcus Peters and Charvarius Ward, guys that were very good corners for them that they moved on from and replaced with guys they drafted. They're kind of doing that with Sneed. So it's not like they were dumping him because they didn't think he was good. It was more like he didn't fit financially, and they feel like they have him replaced with guys they've drafted the last couple of years. So good outcome for the Titans, who are really I really like their offseason. I think they're doing a lot to build around, the young quarterback and give him the best possible chance to succeed right away.
ESPN's Dan Graziano, our guest. And Dan, why do you think there wasn't more of a market for Sneed at that Titans price? And does his injury concerns with his knee have anything to do with it, you think?
Yeah, it may be. Look, again, it's the combination, right? It's like we got to give up a pick and we're going to have to pay the guy. And very often in situations like this, teams don't feel like they want to do both at the level that'll get it done. So it's really about finding that sweet spot. There were other teams interested, but I think, the Chiefs knew they had to move on. And, they got to a point in the offseason where, all right, well, this is the best offer we're going to get. And it's a good one. It's, watch them draft a cornerback with that pick that they got from the Titans. That would be their way. So, I think there was a decent market, not exceptional. And the reason is, a lot of teams in these situations don't want to always give the pick and the contract.
One of the first splashes the Titans made was the signing of running back Tony Pollard, but it wasn't just him at the running back position. Almost all of the high-profile guys left and got signed quick. Are we going to get back to an era in which the running back is more coveted, or was it just this wasn't a one-off year of showing the importance of what the running game can mean for the NFL?
My guess is it'll turn out to have been a one-off. Remember, like a couple days before free agency opened, the salary cap came in significantly higher than teams were expecting. The teams were estimating, 242, and it came in at 255. So there was more. The purse strings got a little looser, and I think what you saw. You go back to last summer when the running backs were upset and they had the Zoom call and everything. And I think one of the points that came out of that was, hey, we understand the market factors. We understand, what the market tells you about replaceability and about, the relatively short careers. But there are certain guys for whom we think exceptions should be made. And I think that's what you saw in the case of like a Saquon Barkley, who got a high-end deal, and Josh Jacobs, who got a lot of money from the Packers. The rest of these deals, Pollard and DeAndre Swift, solid deals, probably better than we would have thought, given where the running back market has been lately. But certainly they're not setting any new records at the position. I think it's good to see them get paid, but I think, it'll still be tough in a situation where the two-time defending Super Bowl champions are using a 7th-round pick at running back, right? Right. Like there's not a lot that tells you that you have to go out and stretch for these guys. I think the Eagles saw Saquon Barkley as a difference-making player and paid him as that rather than as a running back.
NFL insider for ESPN, Dan Graziano, with us this morning. Dan, when it comes down to your coverage of the NFL and the draft, the conversation always raises up the quarterback. J.J. McCarthy's making his way up. Bo Nix is making his way up. Trades, you got Minnesota with multiple draft picks right now. How much can this change the draft, and how important is it for these squads to find their quarterback? And because it seems like there's been misses in years late with that quarterback pick in the first round.
Yeah. I mean, right, you go back just 2 years and you look at all those guys in the top half of the round in 2021, and the only one that's still got his job is Trevor Lawrence. So, and there were 5 of them. So, yeah, it's vital. I mean, how important is it? It's the most important thing for every team is to find that quarterback and make sure you hit on it. So that's why there's so much investigation of these guys done ahead of time, right? That's why there's so many people in Baton Rouge today checking out Jaden Daniels and tomorrow in Chapel Hill for Drake May. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I think we have a pretty good sense that the Bears and Commanders are going to go quarterback at 1 and 2. There's a decent chance the Patriots do too, although also some chatter about them trading out if the offers are right. Giants are sitting at 6. I think they may have their eye on McCarthy. Now the question is, can they get him at 6 if that's the case, or do they have to move up? Is there that much demand? Is he going to get pushed up the board into that top 4? We've never seen quarterbacks go off the board 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll sort of believe it when I see it, but it definitely sounds like there's enough interest in McCarthy that's at least a conversation. So, yeah, it is. There's nothing more important, and the teams that hit on it are in good shape, and the teams that miss on it are generally set back, unless you're the 49ers and you can find a guy with the last pick in the draft. But that's unusual. So, yeah, I mean, it's the attention is on these guys for a reason, and we'll see. I mean, I think that's how the draft will start is quarterback, and then and everything will work off of that. But again, for good reason. I mean, you can do okay without taking a quarterback right up there at the top, but statistics say it's much more difficult to find that guy after the first 10, 15 picks.
Okay, and with that being said, we've seen New England get rid of theirs, Chicago get rid of their quarterback, both first rounders. And, of course, you got to look at the Titans' situation with Will Levis as a second rounder. Mm-hmm. Considering how fast teams have moved on and how high salaries are at one position quarterback, I think we're going to get to 50 minimum now with second contracts with quarterbacks. Do you see it being hey, we'll give you your way out of the door quicker because of those scenarios now?
I think it's because of the rookie contracts and how they're set up, right? Like the fact that you have to make a 5th-year option decision, right, after 3 years. And that's a big commitment now, the 5th-year option fully guaranteed at the time of execution. So if you're the Bears, for example, like it wasn't so much about giving up on Justin Fields as it is about, well, we lucked into this number 1 overall pick. And so we can kind of start the financial clock again. If we draft the guy, we have him for 4 or 5 years, as opposed to Justin, we're still not sure on him. And we don't have the time to wait anymore because we have to figure out if we're going to pick up that 5th-year option. We have to figure it out in the next 6 weeks. So I think that's what it is. And I think, you'll see with Levis there, who was not a first-round pick and doesn't have a 5th-year option, this is a very important year because, if he doesn't look like the answer after this year, now you're looking at only 2 more years of the rookie contract, and you're going to have to make a decision on him quickly. So I think that's the reason is the length of the rookie contract and the fact that you have to play these guys and sort of decide on these guys in some cases before they've had enough time to really prove whether or not they're the long-term answer.
Dan Graziano of ESPN joining us this morning on RKW. And speaking of that, they have been doing everything they can, at least in free agency right now, to set Will Levis up for success. In your eyes, what has been maybe the biggest add? And I feel like you might say Calvin Ridley, but of course adding Lloyd Cushenberry too was a big thing for this offensive line that has been so weak.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, the center is a vital position, right? I mean, like he's responsible in a lot of cases, especially with young quarterbacks, for helping out with, if not completely establishing the protections at the line of scrimmage. And obviously that relationship is a critical one in a young quarterback's development. So yes, Calvin Ridley obviously is but I agree with you completely. The Cushenberry signing has a chance to be as integral, to Will Levis' long-term success as anything else they've done this offseason.
When it comes to the NFL owners' meetings, obviously a lot of stuff coming out of there the last couple of days, specifically with the competition committee proposing the elimination of that hip drop tackle. Dan, what have you been hearing in terms of feedback from players, if you've talked with players or if you've spoke with just, coaches in general?
Yeah, the defensive players are not thrilled. Anytime you take a tackle away from them, they're going to be upset because the rules tend to, the rules tend to favor the offense more and more as the years go on. So I think, the league tried to stress that it's not banning all hip drop tackles, just the one where you kind of launch yourself into the air and then kind of, go weightless onto the runner's legs. I think it'll be interesting to see how it's officiated. I'm sure there'll be challenges associated with the officiating of it, as there is with any new rule. But, they said they have injury data that shows it's 20 times as likely to result in an injury that results in missed games. That's a significant number, and it made it a no-brainer. I believe it passed unanimously. So defensive players are upset. But frankly, I think the pushback from the league on that is, look, we saw a 65% increase in the use of this tackle in 2023 over the year before. So it's relatively new, and it's not as if you can't go back to tackling the way you were 2-3 years ago and still be effective. So I think they felt like they nipped something in the bud. Obviously, it's, when it's presented as, no hip drop tackles, obviously that's going to resonate with people, and especially defensive players are going to push back on that. But I think the clarity on it is it's one specific technique that they felt was potentially disastrous in terms of injury risk, and they want to get it out of there before it becomes even more popular.
ESPN's Dan Graziano, our guest. And on those same lines, Dan, did the tight end position just become that much more valuable? Because I envision some of these defensive backs just doing anything they can to get a guy like George Kittle or Travis Kelce on the ground. It feels like that did just become a little bit more difficult.
Just because the new rule will make it more difficult to tackle those guys in particular,
right?
The bigger ball carriers. Yeah, I mean, sure. I think that's probably a fair reading of it, right? Like, I mean, is that a technique that, that started because you're trying to tackle Derrick Henry or Travis Kelce or somebody like that? Yeah, I think that's, I mean, look, those guys are obviously going to always have an advantage at that size with that skill level. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it'll probably be a little bit of a mess at the beginning. I think in the preseason and maybe the early weeks of the season, you'll see, a lot of discussion about how this play is being officiated. Is it being called right? Is it being called too much? And then I think as the season goes on, you'll see it kind of catch up a little bit. I'm sort of the opinion that this one will fade into memory a little bit in terms of being a big deal.
It's the offseason before the draft. We always have the conversation of who's going to take a big jump. Is everybody's answer, if we brought that up to you, going to be the Houston Texans? And we ask that because of the Titans and the AFC South.
Yeah, I mean, the Texans were already a second-round playoff team. Like, they took their big jump, right, last year. But I do believe that they're here to stay. I mean, look, if C.J. Stroud is the player that he looked like as a rookie, and I don't see why he wouldn't be, they kept the coaching staff together. They made some key additions. I think in just a year's time, you've gone from a situation where Jacksonville looked like the clear favorite in that division to now you have to say it's Houston. And I think that's the team you're probably chasing. Like I said, I like Tennessee's offseason. I think they've made a lot of smart additions. I like their coaching staff. I think Brian Callahan's going to be a very good coach. But you are chasing Houston at this point because they found the quarterback, and he hit right away. And he looks like one of the better quarterbacks in the AFC already after just 1 year. So if your quarterback, if Levis can have a year like that or anything similar to where a year from now we're saying, oh, Levis looks like the long-term answer, no doubt, in Tennessee, then that's a team that could come quickly as well because he does have a lot of good pieces around him, as we've discussed. But, yeah, I think Houston is the team that people have their eye on. And that AFC has been tough to crack, right? Like we're saying, well, it's the Chiefs, obviously, and then obviously Buffalo's been good. Buffalo's been good for a while, Cincinnati, Baltimore. But I think Houston has sort of muscled its way right into that conversation as a top AFC contender, unfortunately, for those other teams in that division.
Dan, we always like to pick people's brains here in terms of guests and what you think the Titans would possibly do with that 7 spot. They've been picking, in the lower 20s here the past couple of years, now in the top 10 spot. You think they just simplify it and go with the tackle there, or do you think they just take best available?
Well, it's never a bad idea to go offensive line there. I mean, like in the first round, the numbers show us that that's where the highest hit rates are in terms of long-term success, in terms of guys playing their way into second contracts. So, yeah, I think if you have a need there, and everyone always does, even if it's just for depth or long-term solution, I think, yeah, that you have to keep your eye on, especially if you're sitting at 7 and 4 of the first 6 picks have been quarterbacks, right? And maybe 1 or 2 others have been receivers. Like, you could take the best offensive lineman in the draft. That's a pretty cool thing to be able to do that. And that sets you up for a while. But, I mean, I do think that with the free agency they've had, they've positioned themselves that they can do whatever they want, right? Like if they would rather take a wide receiver there because one of the big 3 has fallen to 7 or is there for them, and they just think that's the better way to go. I mean, you know, they signed Ridley, they have Hopkins, but both those guys are going to be in their 30s.
Yep.
Like to go younger at receiver and get a potential long-term star isn't necessarily a bad way to go either. But I think Tennessee has put themselves in a position where they can. Fulfill that old best player available cliche if that's what they want to do.
ESPN's Dan Graziano has been our guest at Dan Graziano ESPN, where you follow him on Twitter covering the National Football League. Great stuff, Dan. We really appreciate it. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. Take care.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Dan.
There's Dan Graziano with us here this morning talking Titans and NFL headlines. And I think on the right track when it comes to offensive line stuff there at the end.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of brought me back a little bit with that one. Said picking the best offensive lineman in the draft.
Wouldn't that
I was
be
just
cool,
like,
he
oh,
said?
yeah, that is cool to say.
I like
All right,
that.
we got the best one at that position at number 7 of all picks. You know,
Yeah.
What else stands out from what he had to say?
that stood out. The years on the quarterbacks,
Oof.
the franchise. I mean, the 5th-year option, and how Levis's is sped up more than almost anybody else's right now. I guess the same way Philly ended up paying Jalen Hurts that early. Post the first round, the decision of is he the guy, is he not the guy? And I heard Babs drop that yesterday. It's like, we don't need to start having that conversation. It's like, yeah,
We
well,
kinda
Dan
do.
just pretty much just said, we kind of do.
Mm-hmm.
Got to start having that conversation because you don't have the luxury of saying, all right, we'll just give him the 5th-year option. I think Levis is capable, but we got to start at some point eliminating I guess the excuses you can have for bad play if that's the case. And to that point, getting a good offensive line protection, giving him weapons is going to always be the case, and he's got a support of a run game. The question is, how much you're going to make Will Levis walk the plank with what he's capable of doing? Do you say, all right, be a manager? Or are you going to ask him as his offensive coordinator and head coach, go make plays for us?
And I know it's not about comparing to your other division rivals, but it does make it a little tougher because most of your quarterbacks in the league are younger, have a lot in front of them, specifically with Dan saying, you know, CJ Stroud, no surprise, has certainly impressed us. They've had one of the best off seasons. They only look to be ascending. I think the more pressure gets put on you, like our quarterback has to develop at some point, and it can't just be sitting here on our hands waiting for 3 years.
Yep.
Coming up from the NFL owners meetings in Orlando, Jim Wyatt talked with Titans president and CEO Brick Nihill. He gave us a year where he expects potentially Nashville to be hosting a Super Bowl. Coming up next.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson, and it is that time of the year. We can get outside a little bit, enjoy ourselves, and stop letting that pain in your joints keep you from doing what you want to do this springtime. So call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, and I'm talking about that lasting joint pain relief. No surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. In fact, QC Kinetics is literally transforming lives. Their advanced treatments actually harness your own body's ability to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. We know that pro athletes have been doing this for decades, but now is the time for this life-changing treatment to be available for you. So you can walk and run, climb stairs, play golf, do whatever you want to do pain-free. No pain pills, no risky surgery. It's an all-natural solution. So take action now and live your best life this spring and summer. You can call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. It's simple. Just dial 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Never miss a minute of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Download the RKW podcast wherever you download podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Google Play, 1045thezone.com. Just click the link there. Hit the follow button while you're there. Most creative 5-star review gets lunch on Ramon Foster.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Cars in the mail.
Can we do a steakhouse?
No.
No.
Dollar menu.
Dollar menu at McDonald's.
Might even get steaks from a convenience store.
Did you guys see yesterday that McDonald's is going to be selling Krispy Kreme donuts starting in 2026?
Get out of here.
With a burger on it?
I can see that happening.
Not that. Just selling Krispy Kreme donuts.
Thought they might make a burger out of it or something.
McDonald's can barely get the ice cream machine to work. They want to sell donuts too?
That and Sonic.
Absolutely not.
I actually heard next they're going to add an ice cream place, and then they're going to call it a fat trick.
Oh, my
You get a donut, ice cream, and a burger. It's called a fat trick for $9.99
instead of a hat trick. Fat trick.
What is wrong with you?
Maybe
that is what they
can
call
pair
it.
up.
That's what they call it at Preds games when you have 3 or more food promo items that you win in the same game. So if you get the Big Mac goal at the end of the second period in the final 5 minutes, if you get a Frosty for 4 goals, and if you get a shutout win, then you have a fat trick of 3 different things. You get a donut, a Big Mac, and a Frosty. So there is a fat trick for Preds games. And they won 5-4 last night. So Preds fans could get Frosties last night.
And they could have a fat trick riding their Zamboni if they would ever return my email.
Dude, you need to get on that thing.
I'm trying.
I did a tricycle race on the ice once at a Preds game.
How'd that go? Was it successful?
I hurt myself.
I was going to say, I would not be on that trike for long.
There was a salute to state champions thing that they still do, actually, where every local team that won a state championship in high school sports, you could come out and they would honor you and you would like do something cool. And so ours, they had 3 of us do a tricycle race on the ice at the end of the first period. And I couldn't turn when I was trying to turn left for the first time, and I went straight into one of my teammates and just nailed me. And I actually literally had a big bruise. I had a race that Saturday.
I hate that for you, Will.
It was fun.
I hate that for you, man.
Burke Nighhill talked with Jim Wyatt, TennesseeTitans.com in Orlando at the NFL owners meetings, and asked him about a Super Bowl coming to Nashville. Obviously, the stadium expected to be completed for 2027. Burke Nighhill saying, I'm optimistic at some point the Super Bowl will be in Nashville, but the year that they are looking at first is 2029. That is when you can expect a Super Bowl to be in the Music City, courtesy of Titans CEO Burke Nighhill, saying traditionally the league doesn't award a new stadium a Super Bowl until it has had 2 full seasons of operation, which means the earliest they would consider us, if they start with that same line of thinking, would be 2029. Super Bowls have been scheduled through 27. You've got Superdome hosting it in New Orleans in 2025, where second-year quarterback Will Levis and the Titans will be playing next February. Oh, come on.
What are you talking about?
I was chuckling. Never mind. Okay. I was just saying the Titans are going to make the Super Bowl. Anyway, fine. Don't laugh. It's okay. Levi Stadium in 2026 and SoFi Stadium in 2027. So 2 on the West Coast, 26 and 27. Looks like 2029 will be the Titans year.
That'd be great.
Will be.
And I get the 2 operational years. You've got to see everything's working properly. Turf's right? Because at that point, who knows what kind of artificial turf will be innovated to the next level. So I can't even imagine, though, this city hosting a Super Bowl. Because, again, I go back to the draft in 2019. It was so successful. It was such a hit. And that's not just me covering it here as a local person. This was on a national level. This was people who were coming in here from other cities supporting their teams that were like, man, you guys did it right there in Nashville. So to host a Super Bowl, it's like twice the amount of things that go into it. I think it would be a hit.
No, 100%. And I think they plan these out 2+ years in advance too, as far as the next city getting it. So it makes sense as far as the Titans timeline go. That's going to be exciting. And, of course, also build up the East Bank, too, by that time. Yeah.
It's going to be big.
I absolutely love this idea. This stadium should be rocking. You season ticket holder, Will?
For the new stadium?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, no.
A long time from now.
Biggest rooftop, baby, in stadiums. It'll be
Is
Full
it?
rooftop there. You know that's got to
know
come
that.
with Nashville is the rooftop.
Unfortunately.
Fortunately, actually. That's bode well for
No,
this
I'm
city,
cool with it
man.
in the stadium, but I don't know. Just the rooftops around downtown are out of control. I do think, having done the Super Bowl Radio Row experience with 3HL, Nashville geographically is set up so well because LA was so spread out. The stadium is not anywhere close to where media stuff was in Los Angeles. That's the only one I can speak to because it's the only one I've been to. But the convention center where Radio Row was and a lot of the media events in downtown were not close to Inglewood. And so stadium is far away. I just think the way things are centrally located where you can have Radio Row at the Music City Center, the stadium is across the street, the East Bank's across the street, hotels where people are staying are right in the same area. You have Broadway bars to tempt all of the media members and individuals and players who make their way here. Like, we really do have a perfect setup to host events. I was even told by somebody with knowledge that they're already starting to plan Preds watch parties and where those will happen for the playoffs this upcoming summer.
And hopefully a deep run at that. I'd love to see what they did back, when they made that run. I want to see the streets filled again like that.
I
That was
remember
incredible.
in 2017 when they played the Ducks in Game 1 of the Western Conference Final, it was like 100 of us maybe in front of Bridgestone. And then about 3 weeks later, it was 100,000 of us.
Wow.
On Broadway.
Nuts.
Like, I remember going to that watch party as I was here that summer in 2017 for the first game of the Western Conference Final that the Preds won in Anaheim. Be like, oh, it's a nice little turnout, big screen in front of Bridgestone. There was one screen, and then the thing exploded.
That actually helped in terms of convincing the NFL to come here for the draft.
Yep.
That was a big part of it.
It was. 615-737-1045. We'll reset what Dan Graziano told us about L'Jarius Sneed. And we'll talk with our good friend Rhett Bryan, the executive producer at Titans Radio. We're talking edge rushers today as Hour 4 begins next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, man. By the way, shout out to Hiller, man. They came by my house yesterday, man, to tighten up something around the crib, man. Great service, great people, reliable, on time, all those things, man. They are so clutch. And this month is Happy's Golden Ticket Sweepstake at Hiller. You can enter to win at HillerGoldenTicket.com. And all you got to do is enter your email, and you automatically enter to win. You probably wonder, what are the prizes, Ramon? Well, the prizes include a $5,000 Hiller gift card for services I'm sure you'll probably need at your house at some point in time. There's also a $1,000 Hiller gift card, or get one of the 10 Happy Hiller Club memberships, which take care of a multitude of things around your house. Or this, you can simply take advantage of the 0-interest financing for 48 months on select new HVAC systems, or 36 months on tankless water heaters and whole home generators. Don't miss out on this. Enter to win now at HillerGoldenTicket.com.
What's going on? 9 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. NFL approved a new hybrid kickoff model similar to the XFL's, designed to limit speed and injuries while improving the number of quality plays. Eric Galko, who helped develop the plan for the XFL, was on 3HL yesterday explaining how it can affect NFL kickoffs.
The kickoff and kickoff return is about 10 plays a game, and we all watch football. 95% of those plays are just kick out of the end zone. So now you're adding 10 plays to the game. By comparison, the average NFL game has about 12 red zone plays. We hear all the time about NFL teams practicing red zone and so much, and so like, this is going to add 10 more quality plays that can have a real impact on your game.
Former Titans target and Pro Bowl veteran cornerback Tre'Davious White signing a one-year deal worth up to $10 million with the Rams, who have added 3 quality starters to the secondary this offseason. White and Darius Williams at cornerback and Cameron Curl at safety. And onto the Preds, who kept the ball rolling, taking down the Golden Knights in overtime 5-4. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5. How long should I wait, Lucas? Now. The Zone.
Fourth quarter of the show, fourth and final hour of the show starts right now on your Wednesday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast. Go by and see them, 8th Avenue, Charlotte, the airport, the Broadview at Vanderbilt. Beautiful building right over here in Midtown. And Wednesdays at 9 a.m. means we get smarter about the local professional football team. Rhett Bryan joins Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, myself, Will Bowling, and Robert Walsh behind the glass. Good morning, Rhett.
Happy Wednesday, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Rhett. How you doing, man?
I'm good.
How you doing?
Sun
How
is
you
shining.
doing? Yes, it's a beautiful day.
Yes.
A little cooler today, but good. Feels like spring.
Sure does. Absolutely does. What did you make of rule changes this week? Lots to digest from Orlando before we scout some edge rushers and talk about a position that has been a big topic of conversation for the Titans recently as far as pass rush goes. The kickoff rule yesterday, obviously the biggest one.
It was. And applause to the NFL for making a move. Like Mike Keith, I don't know how many conversations I've had with him about this. And you have taken a play that had become irrelevant and made it relevant once again. And an adaptation of what the XFL introduced a few years back. I like the rule. I really do. And, Will, you and I were talking about this, and I believe you're correct. Because this rule change has happened, I believe you will, and with the way the quarterbacks are set up on the roster now, with that tweak happening, I believe you will see one of those last roster spots being taken up by a return guy. In fact, after talking to Coach Mack yesterday, I wanted to go back and look at guys who were core special teamers and returners, whether they're running backs or receivers or whatever, that could add value in a late pick because of this rule change. I think it's fantastic because it's like, okay, another kickoff going back through everybody's just trying to bomb it through the back of the end zone. That's the other part of it that's great for the Titans is this is right in Nick Folk's wheelhouse, man. He's great like that. So that target zone of 0 to 20 yards, money.
That was my first thought was older kickers that might not have the leg to send it through the back of the end zone just had their values increased because there's not an incentive to kick it to the back of the end zone anymore.
Right.
And the other side of it, so then I think some coaches' philosophy was, why bring it out? You know, why bring it out if they're kicking it high enough in the air, right by the end zone line, right? And you got to bring it out. No, just take a knee. And it deaded it almost as if you had nothing to talk about. I'm sure, you know, like you said, what Titans Radio do as far as giving descriptions of what's happening, you guys, fair catch through the end zone. And then you got to wait time for the next play. You don't get that action time is what you're missing out on with the way the kickoff return has been. Like, you ever seen it, people put their arms in a wide T, like, all right, yeah, we're just down in this one. This brings it back, that element of football, and it takes away the car crash too. I personally am a fan of that. I know a lot of people, it's turning to flag football. No, it's not. It's not turning into flag football. I think now you create more of a skill set for guys. Like you said, either those running backs or those bigger those bigger wide receivers, or you have a guy that has some return skill as far as a safety or something like that. You get an opportunity to find out where that guy is.
And I think you brought up a valid point with there was an unnecessary lull there in just how the game flows, and especially on Titans Radio. And you're right. Now there's action involved in that. And the other reason I say that I think you'll start to see teams on that last couple of roster spots place a returner core special teams guy there because there's two guys that have to be back there under this new rule.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to that style of a returner, does that change in your mind with this new rule?
No, I don't think. I think if I am Rand Carthon and the powers that be and Coach Callahan, I think I'm just looking for, in fact, I'm looking for value of a guy who's a kick and a punt returner. Maybe it's, again, if you're playing teams, that means you're in the back third to the back 10, 12 spots of that roster anyway, and so the more you can do. So, and there is some different nuances to being a kick returner to punt returner, but if you've got that in your back pocket, plus you're, maybe you're a backup DB or you're, the fifth or sixth wide receiver, whatever it is, you've got a chance to make a roster spot in this thing.
ESPN's Dan Graziano joined us, Rhett, in the last hour talking about L'Jarius Sneed and asked about the knee injury, the concerns there. And he essentially told us there was a decent market for Sneed, but not exceptional, maybe less so because of the injuries, more so because teams are not as well positioned as the Titans to give up a pick and a contract, is essentially the way he explained it. When the L'Jarius Sneed news broke Friday, what was your initial reaction?
Holy Moses, it's happening. Maybe not Moses, maybe something else. But I'm like, whoa, okay. We thought Rand's been cooking. Rand just turned the burner up, man, and the watch pot began to boil. I mean, holy Moses. Now, the one thing I didn't catch that part, I caught part of your interview with Dan Graziano. What was the knee injury that he had? Because I went back and looked at stuff, and I didn't see a knee injury there. Where did he have a knee injury?
So
was that in college, or was that?
It was last season. I think he missed, or he practiced. I believe it was. I want to make sure I get the number right because I don't want to misspeak. But
okay.
He only missed, I believe, 6 practices as a non-participant.
Okay,
and was on most of the injury reports with a knee injury last season in Kansas City, but did not miss time. Right. So the time that he missed was in Week 18 when the AFC West was already won. And it's been reported as kind of a nagging thing for him that has not kept him off the field, but gave Kansas City concerns over giving him a long-term contract.
Well, okay. So a couple things there. One, he passed the physical, didn't he? Okay, there's that. And then this newly reorganized, reshaped, and whatever, the staff there, Todd Torricelli is still the training guy over there. And I'm sure L'Jarius has an idea about here's what it takes to get me ready for a game each week, just like they've done with Danico Autry and going into his middle 30s the last couple of 3 years.
Yeah, this was the exact info I was looking for. So out of the 63 practices the Chiefs had from Week 1 to the Super Bowl, 68% of them he was a full participant. He was limited for 22% of them. He did not practice 6 times, so I was right on that being the number.
Okay.
17 games of 100% snaps played.
There it is.
4 of them playoff games.
And to me, Rhett, like this happened with DeAndre Hopkins last year in terms of maybe he wasn't at every single practice, but it doesn't matter as long as you're able to go out there in games and actually put results on the field and are available in those games. And
I ain't worried about DeAndre Hopkins.
No, I'm
not worried about it.
I'm comparing it
Sure.
to people having issues
absolutely.
with him supposedly not practicing enough. First of all, L'Jarius Sneed, if you talk to anybody, like, that guy's a warrior. He is an absolute warrior. He's going to find a way to play a game, knee or not knee. I don't give a damn how much he practices or he doesn't, because his resume says he plays and he's good when he gets out there.
He absolutely is, and I think that's what separates the good to the great to the elite players, is the ones who know how to be a pro.
Yeah.
And that's a part of the knowing how to be a pro part. Let me tell you something. The minute that news dropped, I just kind of went into a dive of looking at everything about him. And I found a fantastic article from the Kansas City Star from about 3 years ago. And from his little town of Minden, Louisiana, his family's reputation is that they were all incarcerated. They were all jailbirds. His father spent 17 years in the penitentiary. His mother over 5.5. His grandmother raised him in inner city Section 8 housing kind of deal. His older brother, TQ Henderson, is really the person who helped raise him with his grandmother. And his brother tragically murdered about 3 years ago. It was a big deal, a big storyline there. But he had a couple of brushes with the law when he was at Louisiana Tech. That kind of hurt his draft status a little bit, though he was never really charged with anything. It just wrong place, wrong time, people you're hanging out with kind of deal. And the other is, he played it in mid-major and, anyway, he was taken at the end of the 4th round. But when he had his second brush with the law, his mom, who was, I think, out of jail at that time, said, "Son, you have to break our family cycle. You have to be the one to do this, and the NFL is your vehicle to be able to do this, and for you to be able to bring awareness to things and mentor." Like, I think he's big in Boys and Girls Club, big brothers, big sisters kind of thing. I think he's big in all of that stuff. I think that's kind of shaped who he is. So to your point, he ain't backing down. No. He's gonna show up and do what he needs to do every time. And listen, I love the addition. You talk about the Titans cornerback group on paper now. You're like, okay, well, that sure changed a lot, didn't it? To the good.
Yeah, certainly. Rhett Bryan in studio with us here in hour number 4 of Wednesday's RKW. Coming up next, let's talk some edge rushers. I have got a brand new draft crush, and I know it's a guy Rhett Bryan likes too. We'll talk about it next. RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone. Talking Heads Rushers. I got to start going into my Joe Hunk voice with Scorpions playing in the background.
Listen,
Baby Tigers.
Wow. In the home to RK-Dub 104.5 The Zone.
Saved.
Okay.
That hurts my throat. I can't do that
I don't
anymore.
know how he does that.
Gotta do a
I don't
game
either.
Friday
I
and Saturday.
don't know.
I
can't
ask
keep
him all the
talking
time. I'm like, do you gargle with old razor blades and parking lot gravel? Because that's what it sounds like. But
That's
hey, you do you, buddy.
It's incredible.
I'm about to just not talk the rest of the segment. That actually hurt.
Wow. don't mess up your vocal cords there, good buddy.
Rhett, we're talking edge rushers this morning.
Yes.
Did quarterbacks last week. Pro Football Focus has in their top 50 the number 1 and 2 edge rushers separated by 1 rank, 16 and 17. Dallas Turner out of Alabama.
Okay.
Jared Verse out of Florida State. How do you justify, or how do you, I guess, classify those two guys who seem to be the consensus 1 and 2, other than maybe Laiatu Latu of UCLA being the third guy in that mix? How far separated is that top group from everyone else?
I think you can throw Chop Robinson in that too.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, that is your top tier, and you start looking at the other guys involved. Like I know your draft crush. I won't mention his name right this second because I won't steal your thunder. But I think he's in that next tier. But let's run the tail of the tape here for a second. So Dallas Turner, to me, he is the top guy. Like I think he separates himself from Jared Verse, and maybe a little more than what PFF is saying. 6'3", 247, arms 34 3/8, wing 83 inches, 4.46 in the 40 and a half inch vertical, leap 10.7 broad. 10 sacks, 14 and a half tackles for loss in 2023. Like everybody else, he's still developing his technician type pass rush moves. But he's got what you're looking for. He really is, and really does. Jared
Chop,
Verse,
that is, right? You said Chop.
That's Dallas Turner. That's Dallas
your
Turner.
boy.
Yeah. Hey.
Now Jared Verse. So we're talking about 9 sacks, 17 tackles for loss in 2022, 4.5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss in the final 2 games of 2022, and then he had an unbelievable 2023. He and Braden Fisk were wrecking games for the Seminoles back then. But Jared Verse, 6'4", 254, wing 79 and a half inches, 4.58 in the 40, 1.6 seconds in his first 10, 35-inch vert, 10.7 broad, 31 reps at 225. He does not have the bend and the hip flex of a Dallas Turner, and probably Chop Robinson too. So that's one of the reasons why he's a little separated in that tier. Go ahead.
I was just going to go a little bit more on him.
Yep.
What he does have is that straight ahead force wiggle that you have in his game. Like, you look at this game and say, okay, he's not going to bend the corner the way you need him to.
But he's going to swim your hind in.
Oh, my gosh.
swim move
He
is
loves
phenomenal.
that 2-arm swipe up the offensive line stuff, man. So watching his wiggle, I think, is good because he's going to have to go to a team that specifically wants his needs. Like, you're not going to get sack production, crazy sack production, but you're going to get sacks and you're going to get impact plays with a guy like Jared Verse. This is what I liked about his tape, man.
Sure. Now, Chop Robinson, it has to be considered in this tier just because. And, of course, you're looking and you're going, okay, there's not a ton of experience there. And Chop, short for pork chop, which is what his mom nicknamed him. He was 11 pounds at birth.
Wow.
God bless her.
Thick.
So Chop Robinson, 6'3", 254, arms 32 and a half, so a little shorter. Wing just a little over 76 and a half inches. So a little shorter in wing. 4.48 in the 40, 1.54 in his first 10. 34 and a half inch vert, nearly 11-foot broad jump. And because of, and I looked at, I think he had 25 games of experience in college between Maryland and Penn State. He's going to draw a comparison to another player who is elite right now for the Dallas Cowboys in Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons, about the same resume in terms of games started, played. Micah is a faster and a little longer, but this is a guy that if they like what they see, which there's plenty of stuff on tape to do that, I think if you can get the right person with him to help bring that pass rush along, just like Harold Landry wasn't superstar ready. He was bendy and everything. It took a little bit, but once he clicked, boom. So Chop Robinson, somebody's going to take him pretty high because of the upside involved in all this and the athletic traits.
That's what I was going to ask you, because with those three guys that we named, and then we haven't talked about Latu yet, are those first rounders, no doubt, or are those guys?
Yeah, I believe those to be first round.
I wanted to make sure the distinction there. Of the guys
I think
we're
Verse,
about.
Turner, Chop Robinson, and Latu are probably the ones in the first round. And Chop Robinson, you talk about a dude with a motor.
Mm-hmm.
He's got fast and sleek. That's his two speeds.
That first step, too.
Yeah, definitely. Just said the same thing. And the thing that throws you off about him, this Joker's 6'3", 250, running a 4.4. Yeah. Right, you know how insane that is coming off the edge right there at the NFL level,
His first 10 was 1.54.
Come on, that's like wide receiver level.
Exactly,
right,
which means that short area that he needs to get where he needs to go in those trenches. Explosion.
And it'll boil down to durability with those fast twitch guys like that, at this level, at the next level, on how long he can sustain this, that level of athleticism when it comes down to him.
Sure.
But I'm sold on his talent, though, 100%.
Now, Latu, the other one you brought up, started his career at Washington. 6'5", 260, wing nearly 80 inches, 4'6", in the 40, 162 in the first 10, 32-inch vert, 9'8" broad. And the big thing about him, and I still think he'll be a first rounder, it's the medical checks and rechecks. Because when he was at the University of Washington, he was medically retired.
Yep.
And missed football for 2 years. One of his former, I think it was his D-line coach, went to UCLA, said, you should enter the transfer portal. You should come here. Let's get you back right. And they got him back right because he has 2 years worth of tape right here. And 2023 was fantastic for him. He was the Ted Hendricks Award winner, the Lombardi Award winner for the top D lineman in the country. If those medical rechecks and the medical stuff is satisfactory to who's looking, he'll be a Thursday night first round pick in this thing. And we've seen him.
Yeah, we've seen him.
You guys have talked about it.
Yeah,
since the Senior Bowl.
I just. He's not an empty chair. That's what Coach Mack always says. He's not an empty chair. But no, 13 quarterback sacks, 21.5 for loss. And again, was medically retired. They said,
Yeah.
You had a neck injury. You hold off. And he worked and he worked and he had surgery and he got back and has done just fine.
It's impressive.
It is.
Yeah, 15 sacks for Latu last season, 27 in 2 seasons at UCLA in 2023 and 2022. His PFF grade last year was a 96.3, a 26% pass rush win rate, which is phenomenal. Rhett, L'Jarius Robinson is my new draft crush.
I understand why.
6'5", 296. PFF in their draft breakdown says a powerful lineman who can line up anywhere from 0 to a 7 technique. Won't win with speed much at the next level, but certainly can with power. 9 sacks for him in 2023, 17% pass rush win rate, which is strong, an 8% run stop win rate, which for an edge rusher is solid. At the college level, the snap breakdowns, Rhett, are what interests me about him.
Sure.
Because this reminds me of a guy that just left the Tennessee Titans. 15 snaps over the B gap, 104 snaps over the tackle, and 395 snaps outside the tackle. This to me sounds like Danico Autry 2.0.
It very much does. And you're talking about the size and those things. And you're right. He's not going to beat you with the speed. So let's run the tail of the tape on him real quickly here. 6'5", 286. Wingspan, 84.5 inches. 4.95 in the 40, which I think at 6'5", 286.
Very good.
Ain't too shabby, right?
Come on, man.
173 in the first 10 is 10 split. Let's see. 35-inch vert, 9'3 broad, 21 reps at 225. And you're right, because he played in different spots along that Missouri defensive front, but a lot of it was on the interior, but that doesn't mean he cannot bounce outside and wreak some havoc. Really good run defender, high level play strength and leverage acquisition because of those long lever arms. And yeah, I picked up something here from somebody else, and they said growing as a pass rusher, but ceiling is astronomical. His profile is unique, but at his peak, he could provide an impact similar to that of Danico Autry.
Wow. That's big time right there. Got the size for it. Again, straight. I'm talking about get upfield type of guy. Looks to be very strong in his play. Did you say what his 225 was? I might have to find that for you.
It was standby 21 at 225.
21.
But now this is a guy with extremely long arms. He's got an 84.5-inch wingspan. That isn't an easy feat.
It's my excuse too for not being able to bench at 225.
Those long arms.
All good.
Get him out of here. Get him out of here, okay, Rhett? With that being said, you look at his tape, and what you see is his big body just continually running through people, getting to the quarterback, affecting the running lanes and stuff like that. I get the love affair that Will has with him right now.
Oh, totally. Let me tell you this, and I know one of the reasons why we're discussing pass rushers is because Brian Callahan talked a little bit about edge rushers at the owners' meetings this week. So it's made you think, it's like, oh, yeah. Because I think one of the quotes was, Harold Landry's a proven pass rusher.
Yep.
Arden Key is a proven situational pass rusher. And that is what he is.
Yes,
That's no slight to Arden Key. But I think you need another guy there. You'd like to have 4 guys there, I think, is what you'd like. So Darius Robinson, if you can get him at 38, if that's the way you want to go, sign me up. Co-sign right here.
Oh. And I guess that's going to be the next thing, too, is we're uncertain on what type Denard Wilson likes, too, right?
Yep.
And we got to see, is it going to be a Darius Robinson type of guy who's very Danico-like? But I think it has to be that. Well, the conversation has been surrounded around, well, they wanted Danico back. So it lets you know that they like his style of play, and maybe that type of play you're also, Rhett.
Position versatility is what we've seen in those, because Will just ran down the snap counts. Again, the more you can do. And if that, when you're talking about a multiplicity front, if that's what we're going to be looking at and seeing, the more you can do, the more you know, the more you can line up.
So we went there yesterday, and you remember we went down to the Senior Bowl and had this conversation. Missouri sent a good crop of players down there that had great weeks at the Senior Bowl, and Darius Robinson's another one of those guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, say what you want about Eli Drinkwitz and that program. Yeah. I mean, they've been winning ball games, man. I mean, they've had decent teams.
And they made an impact at the Senior Bowl, too,
yes,
man.
They did.
Super fascinating.
Yep, standing on business down in Mobile. Rhett, a guy a little bit off the beaten path, but potentially still a second-round talent. Western Michigan's Marshawn Kneeland, who, again, didn't play against the best competition, doesn't have gaudy sack numbers, but athletically can do everything.
He is one of my draft crushes in this thing. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, to that point, playing that level of ball, he had the opportunity to leave and chose to stay.
I'm sure.
Also,
I mean, if you're that good,
which is a character that you're looking for in. Do you love ball? Oh, you love ball with the guys you're playing ball with.
Absolutely.
Because he could have left with his teammate Braden Fisk, who went to FSU.
Right.
And we asked Braden Fisk about him. He lit up about Marshawn because that's my guy.
He lit up. He sure in the heck did.
So Marshawn Kneeland, 6'3", 267 pounds, 34-inch arms. So a wing, nearly 84 inches. 4'7" in the 40, 166 10 split. 35.5-inch vert, nearly a 10-foot broad jump, 3-cone drill, 702 for a guy 6'3", 267, 21 reps at 225. Again, long arm guy. I think he had 12.5 sacks, 28 tackles for loss during his career. But the guy has a white hot motor. I mean, he gets after it. I think he is somebody that's going to make somebody a nice pro at the next level. And probably one of those guys that with the going into the a pro facility with the pro trainers and a weight program and the diet and all that. Not that he's out of shape, but I'm just saying getting that, learning how to be a pro and acumen and learning those things all together, he could be certainly a better pro than he was in college.
Yeah.
Is this a guy, too, I saw playing, like, multiple positions, too. Like, he's been moved around and still is able to, I guess, get into that and be successful wherever you put him. So versatile in what you can be, I guess.
And heavy, violent hands.
Yes, he is.
He can shock and shed a block.
He was doing it down at the Senior Bowl. Remember, he was one of the highlights that was down there also. And you speak of guys like him, unassuming when you see him, essentially, other than the size, but he gets the job done is what you see on his tape. Use of his hands is really good. Getting up the field, holding his point. You're going to get a guy that can get after the quarterback and can also set the edge, which is important in today's game, still with the running game and everything, controlling his blocks. He has it, even coming out of Western Michigan is what I've determined.
Yeah, those long levers, he might be able to get a quarterback around the building.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know the other guy that nobody's really talking about because you bring up Dallas Turner so much is Chris Braswell.
His teammate, yep.
Bingo.
Yes, and he's highly touted also. Both of them are, and it's got a feeling that you're going to get a steal out of one or the other, if not both if you select them.
I think you're absolutely correct because he kind of was in the shadow of Dallas Turner. And look, when you're a pipeline full of 5 stars, there's going to be a chance. You get in a log jam of talent, and those things happen. We've seen it with running backs at Georgia and linebackers at Alabama. All that stuff. Right. All right, so Chris Braswell, another guy we saw at the Senior Bowl.
Sure did.
All right, 6'3", 257, wing nearly 81 inches, 4'6" in the 40 at 6'3", 257. 159 in that first 10 split. 33.5-inch vertical leap. He is a natural stand-up edge rusher. Excellent power profile. Explosiveness, length, frame, dense build. I think he's just only getting better. People really started to notice him after the spring games and summer and those reports out about, and then he started putting that stuff together. I think he's going to make someone a value pick in this thing. Dallas Turner's the leader of the class, but he might be, just because he was with Dallas Turner, the next best thing after that.
That's the thing. Coming out of high school, he was a 5-star. He had honestly, I guess, commitments or offers from Clemson, Georgia, LSU. So he was on the radar since he was a high schooler as to be that productive guy. But sometimes when you're in the shadow in those teams with LSU, Alabama, you kind of get hidden. Ohio State, some of those players get hidden a little bit behind those stars. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I would say don't count him out at all.
He had 8 sacks, 10.5 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, I believe was his stat line. But yeah, that is a guy that not enough people are talking about, to your point.
That was the thing, too, with Dallas Turner, I think, having a lot of sacks vultured by Will Anderson his junior season. Was Dallas Turner had 11 quarterback hits, but I think only 5 sacks his junior season because he and Will Anderson would meet in the backfield.
Yep.
You didn't see that same impact with Chris Braswell, who was still double-digit sacks, even though he was playing on the other side of Dallas Turner.
Yeah.
That's easier said than done. Any Auburn fans listening know Chris Braswell well. He had a 90.7 PFF grade against Auburn alone.
Hello.
He wreaked havoc.
Wasn't it Braswell also that started the second half with the sack fumble on the Vols, too? I think it was.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it was, because I didn't want to talk to him at the Senior Bowl because of
Braylon Trice, Washington, Brandon Dorless, Oregon. That's the next tier of guys. Nice. And then in day 3, Javon Solomon from Troy has a very interesting story. Brennan Jackson from Washington State. Yep. That's another one. There's guys throughout this thing. Austin Booker from Kansas. I mean, there's pass rushers in this, but clearly that first couple of tiers, first couple of pods, going to make some people some nice players.
Rhett Bryan with us every Wednesday here on RKW. Rhett, thank you.
Always good.
Appreciate you.
Let's have Inky finish us up properly.
Yes.
We'll have Inky Johnson coming up next. We also will tell you where Rand Carthon is today and a specific prospect he met with, along with the Titans, yesterday. Coming up.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson for the Weighing Vision Institute. Maybe you're thinking about getting your eyes checked. It's been a while. Want to make sure they're on track in terms of your eye health care, and they do it right there. The doctors are amazing. They'll make sure you're getting out of there with all the knowledge you need to have. They also have some things in terms of your skincare. Intense pulse light treatments, if you have not heard of it. It's a photofacial treatment, rejuvenating the skin. Maybe you've had sun damage. You're seeing those dark spots appear now that you're getting a little older. These treatments are awesome for evening out the skin tone and the texture as well if you suffer from hyperpigmentation. So for more information on IPL treatments, you can check out them on their website, weighingvisioninstitute.com. The IPL treatments, by the way, too, super quick, non-invasive, 20 to 30 minutes to perform, and then you're out the door. Now, when it comes to your eye health, eye care health, they have a great free online vision seminar that takes place every Tuesday, 6:45 p.m. You can RSVP, you can schedule your free consultation and treatment today at weighingvisioninstitute.com.
RKW is brewed by 8th Roast on 104.5 The Zone. Wrapping up the show. The Buck Rising Show is on the other side. A little bit of midweek motivation from our friend Inky Johnson coming up in just a moment. Guys, Cameron Wolf of NFL Network puts on Twitter a half hour ago. LSU star wide receiver Malik Neighbors had dinner with the Giants last night and met with the Patriots, Jets, Jags, and Titans yesterday ahead of today's Pro Day. He will meet with the Cardinals post-workout today. Projected top 10 pick will run the 40 and run routes for NFL teams today.
Good for him, man. It will do nothing but raise his profile. He is a talent, man. And when you're a top 10 pick and you're trying to move up higher, and there's not a huge margin of what separates you from the other guys, or you don't think it is, yeah, definitely gonna do that. He'll crush it too.
And no surprise that the Titans are going to be there. I mean, they're in the top 10 in terms of picking, and you got to do your due diligence. We've heard Dan Graziano, who joined us earlier from ESPN, say, look, they're kind of in a position right now where they could take best available in terms of what they've done in free agency. So you've got to look at every available option, and he is certainly one.
How much does that move the needle for you, the Titans going out of their way to meet with him?
I think it moves it a good bit to me. If we're talking about a scale of 1 to 10, I give it about a 6, because when you look at the moves that's being made, losing I don't think is an option. You know, and it comes down to how this team want to move forward, even in the middle of a rebuild. And if you can get guys like this that can be set up to continue your success, I think it bodes well for you. Like, the way I look at it is either you get Joe Alt, if that's the case, and you say, you know what, he's set up to protect for the next guy after him. If you get a guy like Malik Neighbors, then you say to yourself, well, he'll be a seasoned vet if Will Levis isn't the guy, right? Or if you go defense, you set that up too. Like, this is I don't think you can miss with whoever you pick, because there's going to be such a premium of the guys that are left available if they go quarterback heavy in the first 5 picks, that you have to collect as much intel about these dudes to have the hardest conversations you're going to have as a staff come up draft night.
And you always go back to what Brian Callahan said. He obviously took Jamar Chase, and that situation, he was not the head coach, but as the Bengals had that kind of same option with a tackle and a wide receiver, but he said he was such a special playmaker. There was just something about Jamar Chase, and we've seen what he's done since then. If you see this in a guy like Malik Neighbors and you just can't pass that up and he's available, like, that would not surprise me to be able to take him, because you also look at the wide receivers in that room right now. Yes, they're great, D-Hop and Calvin Ridley, but they are approaching, the 30 marks, or are at that mark. So why not continue to fill the cupboard? And if you have a must-see playmaker, you got to get him.
Cameron Wolf also tweeting, Jayden Daniels will focus on throwing today, not planning on doing other drills. Daniels' team intentionally did not set up meetings or dinners until after Pro Day.
That's fair. Give him time.
Interesting.
It's only so many people that he need to meet with.
NCAA President Charlie Baker this morning releasing a statement as the NCAA seeks to ban prop bets nationwide on college players. A couple of states do allow it. I remember when we went down to LSU, Slay and I, to see Tennessee beat LSU, you could do player prop bets down there in Louisiana, where you could bet on a Brew McCoy touchdown, a Jalen Hyatt touchdown, which I'd be a little wealthier if I'd bet on 2 Jalen Hyatt touchdowns, since that happened in that game. But interesting. So looking to protect the athlete, which I guess that's something the NCAA tries to do now.
Oh, yeah. All about protection.
But right now, Inky Johnson gives us a little bit of midweek motivation. We finish off our Wednesday as we always do. A little bit of energy from our guy, Inky.
So I was watching something from Phil Jackson when he spoke about Kobe, and he talked about his talent. He was like, man, he's so talented, so gifted. He said, but he went to the next level when he wanted to know the nuances of the game, how things worked, right? How to do things, right? How things would work if I did this and did that. And it made me think about this, that I remember he spoke about a call that Jerry West called him and said, hey, Phil, I was just talking to this Kobe Bryant kid, man, and he wanted to know how back in the day we were scoring 30 points and doing this, but you guys got this triangle offense, right? And Phil said, as soon as he hung up the phone, he was like, oh man, I'm going to have a problem. Like, I run the triangle offense to try to keep things restricted, disciplined. I'm going to have a problem. And so he said the next time he talked to Kobe, he realized that Kobe just wanted to understand, how did Jerry West and the guys do it? How did they become efficient and effective at doing it, right? And what it made me realize in terms of our encounter when we speak to conditional and non-conditional, I realized with me personally, when I deal with a person, oftentimes years ago, I started to realize I never think about what that person may be dealing with.
Right.
When I have an encounter with a person, I just think about how it makes me feel. What happens, what transpires, conditional, non-conditional. I just think about how I feel in the moment, right? Based upon what they just did. I never think about, man, what may this person be going through?
Yes.
Or dealing with that's making them react or act in a certain way based upon the condition or the situation that we're now experiencing or encountering, right? And it takes a person to a different level when you move beyond talent. We're using talent because of the situation. But when you move beyond talent and you want to understand the nuances of how things work,
yes,
right? What may they be dealing with? What are they going through?
So good.
That made them react or act in that way.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson with Members Nutrition. Maybe you heard me talk about the Youthful Cleanse here lately. A great cleanse, simple cleanse by Daily Defense, but they bring so much more when it comes to supplements, bringing them to you at an affordable cost, quality supplements at a fraction of the normal retail cost, and made right here in the USA. No matter what type of supplement you're looking for, they have it. Let's maybe say immunity supplements, because this is the time of year that we're all feeling a little bit down, and they've got plenty to choose from, including weight loss, detox, like I mentioned, with the cleanse, men's health, women's health, even relaxation supplements. They have it all. And now they are giving you, the listener, a little bit extra off the already discounted prices, offering 50% off your purchase on the already discounted prices. No code needed. The discount is automatically applied at checkout. And the website, you can go to it now to check out all the different types of supplements, all different categories. Just go to membersnutrition.com. That's membersnutrition.com.